Hey, check it. Hey, check it. Put the place up. Put the place up, yeah, we know what we made of. Can't get enough of you, boo, I'm a chaser. Face up, now I feel a little major. Blink of an eye, ego, I'm a taker, shaker. Yeah, she was a ball shaker, she shake me out that door to no place. Damn, why you doing all that? Thought you was my wife, but you stabbed me in the back. Something like a rope when we came out there, we settled facts like the Vinci. I'm breaking bones, so breaking backs. Come on, get your ass up in the slipping. Put another smile like it was the last Christmas. Hey.
Thank you for joining us here at the SMITE Global Series. Finch, I've got Aggro with me as well, and we're going to be taking a look at Oceania today. Specifically, we've got Bang the Drum here going up against Outlaw Gaming.
Excited to see this new Bang the Drum roster. I mean, there's a lot of hoopla about it over in the Oceania scene. A lot of familiar names, Chuckles in the solo lane, Mingyu in ADC. I'm excited to see what they can bring.
That's right. Mingyu, I believe, was at HRX actually on that solo esports roster, so very excited to see what Mingyu's going to be able to do. But these are the standings. We'll go ahead and get those on the screen. And Bang the Drums already doing well with that 1-0 start, so let's see how well they can keep things going. Athletico, you can see them up at the top, and Outlaw haven't found a win yet. See if they can get that done here against Bang the Drum.
Believe we got to see Athletico versus Outlaw last week in the Global Series in Week 1, and Athletico looked very good, so no surprise to me that they were able to take down the Jackson 5 off stream. Outlaw, they have to try and bounce back after that tough Week 1 loss, and they've got their work cut out for them against Bang the Drum.
Right, this is not going to be an easy task. I mean, this Bang the Drum roster, we just mentioned it. They have a ton of experience, and not just here in Oceania, but even in some international competitions. So I expect them to bring some of that level of experience here to this first game, to this set even, as we are just about ready to move into picks and bans.
Yeah, completely agreed. I mean, Oceania as a region has definitely gotten better throughout the years. They had a lot of expectations a couple years ago with that old LG Direwolves roster that ultimately didn't end up coming to fruition. A lot of those players moved on, and then it kind of took a little bit for Oceania as a region to get that talent pool back, kind of develop it. But we're starting to get there for sure, and I think that this Bang the Drum roster, along with Athletico, are kind of the new wave of talent in Oceania that are really fun to watch.
Well, some strong tanky characters already taken off the board, the Guan Yu and the Terra, and I very much agree. I don't want to have either one of those on the opposing team fights. Let's go ahead and ban them right away. Xbalanque going to be banned as well by Outlaws, and then the Athena, who's very much risen in prominence here lately.
She really has. Yeah, she really has. She just fits so well into so many different team compositions.
Yeah.
You can put her in support, you can put her in solo lane, you could even put her in the jungle sometimes. So I like that ban from Bang the Drum. It does leave open Giannis, and there are a lot of Oceania mid laners that seem to really like this pick. So Outlaw, no surprise, they go right for it.
Yeah, not surprised to see that one get highly valued here. The Sobek is going to come out, though, along with the Kukulkan. So that's making me think that we're seeing the support Sobek this early. I'm a little bit surprised. This might kind of take away some of that flex potential these picks usually have, but
yeah,
grab them for yourselves now. They're both real value.
Well, it's more, I think, about taking the Sobek out of the hands of Outlaw's solo lane, right? I mean, there's no way that you pick it for support this early on because you just feel like it's the best possible pick for support. It's because you're trying to take it away from the opposition, but you also don't want them to have Kukulkan, I suppose. So now you're kind of forced into picking both of those. I love the Cerberus pick because it fills the same sort of role that Sobek in the solo lane can, does a lot of the same things. And then Jingwei is just a good counter matchup into the Sobek. And, you know, a lot of what Sobek support brings in lane is the fear that you're going to die because he's going to pluck you into his wave and set you up on the hunter. Now as Jingwei, you're not worried about that. Agility gets you right out of that pluck.
And they're going to turn their attention towards the mid lane with this Raw pick, or at least Bang the Drums are. And I like this pick. Raw strong right now. As a mage, yes, but then that sustain kind of just puts him over the top. When you're trying to fight over Gold Furies, Fire Giants, whatever it is, he's so strong. And it's good setup, too. I mean, the Sobek pluck, the tail whip even. I mean, you can find snipes off that.
Yeah, I like it so far, and I love the Odin band that Bang the Drum go with.
Yes.
In addition to that, the Rom band out and the Artemis, so 2 shots at Mingyu in that ADC role. But
I take shots at him too. He looked good, doesn't he?
Yeah, Hachiman is still up. Hu Yi is still up. So there's still some decent answers there in that ADC role for him.
Susano, though, is going to be the pick for the jungle instead. So they're going to just wait. I mean, at this point, there's already been bans on the Hunter. Outlaws already have theirs. So go ahead and prioritize your junglers. It looks like Outlaws don't have one yet. And you can pick your Hunter last. That pool's not going to change.
I like the .G selection into the Susano because this is an opportunity to use that Palau ultimate very easily. Susano doesn't have any CC immunity in the kit, and he can kind of predict where he's going to be going.
Right.
Aim at the jet stream with your chain and try and pull him in as he tries to get away. So I like the .G pick. It also applies Brawler's Beatstick very easily, can punish the Raw pretty easily. I think this is a strong selection that we don't see a whole lot of these days, but something that we can still see succeed.
And I like .G because this means that you highlighted like that some of the options are still available. You can't really go like a Ho Yi anymore because you want to try and have that CC immunity. Could have gone Hachiman, but chose the On Her here, so it looks like they would have very likely felt comfortable with this anyway. But double Guardians here for Outlaws. Ton of control that Geb and Cerberus are bringing.
Oh, yeah, and then lots of mobility as well between the Jingwei, the Giannis, and the Daji. Those are characters that are difficult to lock down before you factor in how much protection they'll have with Cerberus and Geb.
Well, we got the game here underway, Outlaws versus Bang the Drums. And everything's going where we expected it to. It is going to be Weave on the Sobek, and El Checo's taking Kukulkan over to the solo lane. Already, though, following along with this duo lane, iTunes going up against Mingyu, going to have his work cut out for him. And already, looks like they're recognizing they're just not going to have the lane clear and coming right to first.
Should be able to clear this in time, and this is the right decision. Whenever you're going to get out cleared in lane, there's no reason to sit there and kind of accept that and lose a lot of your buffs in response. Instead, at least guarantee yourself some degree of farm. And oftentimes, if you can discuss that you're going to give up the wave and go to purple right away, you can have your jungler rotate underneath right after speed buff and come towards red buff to try and contest where the duo lane will most of the time go. That doesn't happen here for Outlaws because you have a Guardian in that solo lane, and split push needs that blue buff a little bit more than most traditional warriors would. So Pure Might is kind of forced to come to that side of the map and give up the red buff in response.
Yeah, they really don't put much pressure onto the lane at all, do Russian Panda and iTunes when they come back in. So there's not really any kind of punishment to Mingyu and Weave, just kind of the result of the pressure they were able to get early on, or the clear advantage, rather, they were able to get early on. They should be able to go back and defend their own buffs, especially now with Freemason and Yada here in the mid lane. They don't have to worry about any buff invades, so they should be fine.
Yada taking a little bit of poke alongside Freemason, but that's where that raw sustain comes into play. Yada can just go back and drop a heal right on top of red buff, and Freemason won't be too worried about the damage that Pure Might and Commando Chris put onto him.
But take a look over here for Outlaws. They've got 2 blinks on the side of Russian Panda and Pure Might, as opposed to some of the more safer teamfight relics. Like Weave has the fully upgraded sprint already. It seems like Outlaws are very much signaling they want to be the ones initiating or the aggressors here.
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising to see no sprint for Russian Panda in particular, especially considering you've got so many slows in that duo lane already. Sometimes you need sprint just to get away from a good shifting stance or lurking in the waters from Weave. But Russian Panda instead feeling like they need a little bit more engage. I don't know if I agree with that decision because Dodge ult can be an engagement tool a lot of the time. And Outlaw's composition is much better at counter-engaging anyways. I'm not sure you want to be the aggressors into Mingyu and Sobek on that side of the map. You don't want to necessarily be the aggressors onto a Raw that's going to just beads and sustain up at all of your initiation. I think that the sprint probably was going to be the better call there for Russian Panda, but we'll see if he puts it to good use. If you're going for Blink here at level 1, though, you better be Blink engaging at least once or twice and getting good things off of it before you hit level 12, because otherwise you could have just waited on it.
No surprise really, though, to see Pure Might going for that blink. It's something Dodgy kind of has to go with often, and you kind of touched on that because she so often has to use Trickster Spirit sort of to engage, and then she'll go up onto the powwow. Blink kind of gives her a way to leave at the end of it if she doesn't really find what she's looking for. She can drop back down usually by that time she's out of combat and just disengage right away. So Pure Might, I understand the pickup here, but recognizing your jungler has to do that, I agree. I am a little bit surprised Russian Panda then does sprint. Or does not do sprint.
You can go up into the powwow and not even shoot a chain, wait until it takes you out of combat, and then immediately leap down and blink away. It's very, very difficult to deal with.
Good pull right into the snipe. Yada just hits level 5 first, and that's all it takes for first blood. Bang the drum. Already banging the drum to get things started. Yada on fire.
That was impressive, wasn't it? I mean, Yada not hesitating at all, and that's a lot of trust and communication between Freemason and Yada there to understand that that is an option. And Commando Chris just didn't use the purification beads, didn't respect the damage coming out from that Raw snipe.
And it's set up, but it's not like the longest setup, right? It's rather quick, that pull back in from Susano, and that's going to net them. It looks like the red buff here, or rather come back and grab their own for Bang the Drum, and that's just good play there in the middle lane between Yada and Freemason. And as you mentioned, Commando Chris didn't really expect that to be what was happening, but to be fair, Yada, it looks like, did tick level 5 a little bit ahead of him, maybe not recognizing the XP disadvantage that he was at, and that could potentially be an outcome.
Just sometimes that wind siphon is awkward setup where if it's pulling away from you, maybe it's at an angle where they're a little bit perpendicular to one another. It can be really difficult to use that as actual setup. Usually you're waiting for Typhoon knockup to be your primary setup with Susano, but in that situation, because Commando Chris and Freemason and Yada were all kind of standing in a line, Yada can guarantee that shot a lot easier. Not to take away from how impressive it was, because again, that does take a lot of coordination and trust in your teammate to make sure that, and just understanding of your teammate's kit to know how far that's going to pull them and make sure that that's guaranteed.
And I think you were starting to talk about it too, but I think everyone except for Yada really was level 4, even Freemason. So the only way to make that play work is to do it off the pull setup there. As once again, the snipes coming out from Yada, this time to strip away the buff. And looks like that was successful. That's going to further hurt Russian Panda and iTunes, who already lost pressure early to Mingyu and Weave.
That's actually a pretty big deal, probably a bigger deal overall than the first blood onto Commando Chris, because that does set Russian Panda and Toonie back. Now, it doesn't prevent them from hitting level 5 before coming to this wave, but it lets Mingyu get way more pressure.
Pure Might is certainly getting collapsed on here. Goes up into the powwow, but everyone is staying right around the corner so they can try and help out. Yada does not have the ultimate, but he does have beads. Weave, though, Trickster Spirit over the wall, right to split push, and he'll be okay.
I like that positioning from split push. And a lot of times you'll see solo laners kind of go in and try and help and disrupt, but in that situation, he's positioning that way to give an option on that Trickster Spirit.
But they're not done looking for more. Russian Panda now is going to be the target. Typhoon doesn't quite make it through. I think he might have been hit by that Cataclysm, but either way, Russian Panda is going to fall. Freemason finds that kill. 1-0-1 now for the jungler for Bang the Drum. They may not have gotten Pure Might, but they still found a meaty target.
Freemason was hit by that Cataclysm, but just couldn't end up turning in time. iTunes actually going to go aggressive with that airstrike, and he's going to go for it.
Now Mingyu is kind of stuck here in no man's land. No crits come out, so iTunes cannot survive in the 1v1. Mingyu is able to put it to Toonie over here in the duo lane.
If Toonie just has Devourer's Gauntlets finished, not just stacked, but finished, that's a kill for him there. It's just that Mingyu was able to lifesteal a little bit. I thought Mingyu was going to get a little bit too nervous there and end up killing himself by not just trusting and going for the auto attack trades, but realized that Toonie was 1 or 2 hits from death. So almost, I like the idea for my Toonie. At least I like the idea to airstrike aggressively. I don't know about landing aggressively.
Right.
But if he just has the Devo's Gloves finished, that's a solo kill in the other direction.
And I believe that was explosive bolts that he had up as well there
Yeah.
for those auto attack trades. So even a lucky crit might have been the difference there, but nothing coming out just yet.
He probably only has 1 point in explosive bolt. You actually don't get that crit strike chance until later on when
Sure.
you're leveling it. He's just leveled it to get the bigger auto attack size on it and the splash damage that it provides. I don't think it was possible for him to get a crit.
Well, in the end, doesn't work out for him there. Another kill goes over to Mingyu. In fact, that's 3 kills for Bang the Drum, and no answer yet from Outlaws, Ryan. They're off to a very good start, and we talked about this earlier. This is with the 2 blink commitment from Outlaws. They have not had a chance yet to be the aggressors or the initiators.
No, because it's tough to, even when you have blink, you kind of want to wait until the enemy uses their purification beads or something to make sure you're getting a real value out of that blink, but no one from Outlaws has forced out a purification beads yet in this game, so that blink inherently loses value. If I'm Russian Panda, I'm probably starting to get a little bit impatient, and maybe I'll trade that blink in exchange for some purification beads next time I see people in the mid lane.
Well, Chuckles continuing to bully over here in the solo lane, where he does have a bit of a lead over Split Push. Not too surprising, this Cucullin warrior over the Cerberus, the strongest Cerberus can be in lane. Cucullin, man, kind of just feels like he's on a plane all his own. Maybe Achilles up there with him, but so strong in lane with that rage transformation once that comes out. Weave positioning like maybe he wanted to pluck, but couldn't find a Commando Chris, so instead lets him just go ahead and head back towards tower.
That's how Sobek is designed, right? To just stand there and be really menacing the entire time. To just be really, it make you uncomfortable to stand anywhere near him.
You might beads if Sobek looks at you wrong, right?
Right.
Like
that's that mentality that you need to have with Sobek at all times. Passive Sobek play is something that just never makes sense to me. I think that you always have to position like you're the aggressor.
Aggressor now is Pure Might, but gets impaled right back into the wall. Desert Fury comes out, jumps over the first chain. Second one's going to land, but Beads clears him out, but he walks right into a portal. Commando Chris here to say hello. Cataclysm into the portal, but not enough damage to finish that one off. Mingyu is on the retreat path. Yada looks for the big snipe and finds it. Pure Might goes into Mingyu, but cannot stand. Freemason chases down iTunes. Now Commando Chris is in trouble, is able to portal away, but Yada is looking for Russian Panda.
Oh, Freemason wants it underneath this tower. It's a juicy double kill waiting for him, but decides not to go for it. Instead, purple buff is the call. Split Push has made the rotation, and Freemason putting the Cerberus in a weird spot.
Stygian Torment is just not going to find the target. A little bit too late on that call. Yada now trying to retreat, but Weave has shown up with the pluck to help with the disengage. In fact, they're going to engage on the red buff. Split Push is here to try and make the defense happen. Looks like he just was not able to get there in time.
Weave should be okay here. Split Push has no ultimate. Maybe if Split Push found the stun, that would have caused problems for the Sobek support, but Weave able to get out of there. A-okay. What a play by Mingyu, by the way. The blink
on
forward
Pure Might, yeah.
by Pure Might. Well, first of all, Pure Might tries to hit him with the Trickster Spirit, and immediately Mingyu sits him down with the impale into the wall and Desert Fury combo, but then Pure Might blinks after him, and just the impale auto attack cancel, because 1000 Cuts has Mingyu dead in that situation, but he stays confident.
Russian Panda's
just
dead.
like this.
That's it. You just walk in the lane. And now Toonie has got to retreat as well. Desert Fury, a few spears missed, but it does not matter. Mingyu with the double kill in the 1v2. What can this duo lane do?
Not a whole lot at this point, because that's a level 10 on her with 4 kills, and he's about to receive a Gold Fury most likely as well. It's on to Commando Chris to try and steal this away, but doesn't seem to know what's going on at all.
And if he does, perhaps not really seeing a way in, and this Gold Fury is going to go to Bang the Drum. There was Freemason in the middle lane. Maybe they didn't want to try and walk past him. He didn't have Typhoon available, but Susano can be pretty scary either way, but that's another win for Bang the Drum. And you talked about it, this roster just recently put together and already looking great. It's a ton of talent here.
It really is. I mean, Mingyu is just putting on a display right now in the duo lane. In the solo lane, though, Chuckle's in some trouble, does have the transformation, and has Warcry available to get him out of that Palau pool. Well timed, but Split Push looks like he doesn't want to give it up.
Yeah, this might be misguided, Split Push. Be careful, not going to land the stun. Now the pull comes back in from Freemason, who is going to follow him through the drop. Pure might be in trouble just for being nearby. Typhoon just barely does not catch up. Split Push certainly bit off a little more than he could chew.
I'd like to see Freemason stay aggressive in that mindset there. I mean, you know, it's 2v1, but that's where it's important that Chuckles is communicating what cooldown Split Push has used, what cooldowns Pure Might has used. Not just ultimates, but even the main abilities, your regular abilities are important in that spot.
not even going to let them grab this red buff. Commando Chris just barely survives that searing pain coming over the wall, and Yada is indeed going to come snatch that red buff up for himself and continue to keep Russian Panda and Toonie behind. I mean, Russian Panda's level 6 on this Geb, and everyone else on the other team's like level 11. He can't fight into that.
No, not at all. And I usually am not a fan of the early Soul Reaver. In this spot, I am, because Yada's so far ahead.
Cataclysm comes out from Russian Panda, and I think that might have saved the life there of his teammate. Through space and time, goes through and clips Weave, but Ming, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Unstable Vortex comes up with pure might to find the first kill for Outlaws, and Bang the Drums want revenge. They come into the jungle, can't find anything there, and retreat.
I really like that play from Russian Panda. That's probably the best individual play we've seen from Outlaws all game. Just understanding that oftentimes you want to stand in the back and try and peel for your for whoever is in trouble. As now it's Russian Panda himself in a bit of trouble, but Freemason will fall because of the portal from Commando Chris.
Stygian Torment does find a target here onto Yada. He returns good damage, looks for the snipe, and is not able to find a Commando. Chris takes down Yada. Looks like Split Push, though, does go down in trade, but Outlaws suddenly showing signs of life, and they're ready to aggress on this tier 1 in mid.
This has got to be at least a tier 1. It's got to be a Pyromancer as well in my mind, because Outlaws are falling so far behind. They've got to make it work. Pure Might just can't land the chain off the knockup. Tier 1 tower finally falls, but Mingyu's already back, so no Pyromancer for Outlaws, which is not enough for killing that many members of Bang the Drum. Took them a little bit too long, and they're just so far behind that they just don't do enough damage to do objectives, even when they're the only ones alive.
And even then, this play was mostly just a response to Bang the Drum, perhaps getting a little bit too aggressive underneath that tier 1 tower. And you talked about it, that great play from Russian Panda with the Blink Cataclysm sets all this up. Now it's Bang the Drum who's looking towards the Pyromancer, and looks like they should be able to grab it, even with the through space and time coming through. It just wasn't there soon enough.
Just barely a little bit too late there from Commando Chris, but like the idea. Yeah, Russian Panda, a lot of times as Geb, you need to be standing in the back, looking at your carries, you know, who's getting plucked, whatever. But instead, I mean, ideally he shields the person who gets plucked and then blinks in. But either way, the idea to blink in and just corral the damage dealers and make sure that there's going to be no follow-up off of that pluck was really heads-up play. And that's something that we've kind of been waiting for from Outlaws and Russian Panda as well. Just, you know, some signs of life that they are alive and kicking, and that is the play that I think that I was looking for, at least, to show that these guys have some potential.
And that's why ideally with that initiation, right, if it's a mere freeze, Athena taunt, you want to hit the support and the carry that you actually want to grab, right, so that they can't do exactly what Russian Panda did and kind of create that peel for them or that counter initiation. But it's not an option with the Sobek pluck, because you are just hitting one person, throwing them back. Russian Panda with that awareness to respond by coming in and stopping the damage. So even though you got moved, there wasn't any follow-up. Now El chuckles. I pretend as if he was in trouble, but he's level 15 Cucullin in Rage form, so he's not.
He doesn't have a lot of physical defense. That's why we've seen Pure Might come over here pretty consistently to the solo lane, but it's still just the level disadvantage for Pure Might is too much to really fight into. 3 levels down. I don't care how few physical protections Chuckles has. There's no way you're killing him when he's that close to his tower. He needs to be very overextended still.
Yeah, the stare there from Freemason up to get the shield out. Forced to use through space and time as Commando Chris. He retreats. Another impale into the wall. Comes out for Mingyu. Russian Panda has the knockup, but Yada has the kill. Freemason is low, and Pure Might punishes. 1 for 1 so far. Yada puts in good damage to Toonie and Commando, who have to back up, but Weave is still here and waiting on a pluck. They're even going to heal up inside this heal from Yada.
Yada really wants this snipe. He still has it available. Soul Reaver proc is down for another 25 seconds or so, but you can tell just by the way Yada's positioning and staring down the opposition, he's hovering that ultimate.
Gold Fury is about to respawn, though, if Bang the Drum want to go grab that one for themselves, but it looks like they're more interested in the mid lane. This tier 1 tower's low, so they have an opportunity to push that if they want to, and the red buff's up. There's a lot for Bang the Drum to do here if they can find an opportunity, like if they can find an Impale Portal, though, gets Commando Chris out of there, and he'll be okay.
Yada's down to about half HP, and Pure Might's still lurking on the backside. Pure Might doesn't have any anti-heal quite yet, but blink forward from Russian Panda. Yada very low. Aegis going to save him for the moment, but Pure Might will find him.
Pure Might finds a double kill and is somehow still standing. Weave is inside that lurking in the waters. They got to blow him up before he pops out. Not going to save Pure Might's life, but they find their 3rd kill of this engagement. Freemason comes in along with El Chuckles. They take down Commando Chris first. Low health on Itunian left-hand side, and Chuckles is going to look for him. That's another kill for Bang the Drums. Freemason tries to come group back up with his solo laner because they want Russian Panda too.
Russian Panda's dead to rights here. I mean, Chuckles has still got the ultimate when he de-transforms. Freemason the one to get that kill. It's only split push now. once he's got some cooldowns, Freemason's in some serious trouble. He's got to juke out that paralyzing spit.
Still has the Typhoon available, but the paralyzing spit puts him down. Good shot comes out from Split Push to at least make sure they keep these kills even overall. I believe throughout that it was a 4 for 4. Everyone just started to respawn here at this point. But a fight that starts so handily in favor of Outlaws. Bang the Drums, just with a lead, it feels like, even that back out.
Bang the Drums just don't seem to understand how important playing the map is, because they're getting these red buff invades and that kind of stuff, but the groupings and the way that they haven't been spreading out and farming very efficiently means that despite a massive gold lead, the experience lead just isn't really there, and it's only on 2 roles where the experience lead is that's in solo lane for El Chuckles, and that's the first time he's joined a team fight, by the way, and he ruined Outlaws in it.
Yes.
And on Weave, the 2 levels in solo, 3 levels in support. In fact, the rest, I mean, in jungle, it's actually Pure Might who's ahead.
Yeah.
iTuny's barely down. Commando Chris is barely down. Bang the Drum need to do a better job of, once they get a lead, getting their experience gain up. Gold is great and all, but in the early game, you kind of want experience more than gold anyways.
Yeah, those levels being up, they give you some flexibility. We've seen teams, when they get big level leads, rely on their base damage and build defensively so they can be a little bit... It's a lot harder for the other team to catch back up, so some of your options are limited when it's only the gold lead, but Bang the Drums look to rectify this shortly by going for the Gold Fury. Toonie, Split Push, Commando Chris all here, though, and they have a chance to contest. Knockup is good. The Gold Fury has been leashed. Weave at half HP. He continues to pluck, but cannot find the target now. Outlaws are the one pulling this objective, but the ultimate comes through. Bang the Drum still grab it with the Searing Pain.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Finch. Weave is very, very low and should fall here after the Stygian Torment from Split Push, but the heal keeps him alive. That extra bit of protection from the raw heal actually keeps Sobek up. Split Push, however, looks like he's in a ton of trouble.
Yeah, Split Push does end up falling. Somehow Bang the Drums turn that from a bad situation to a good one. Russian Panda now falls to the pressure from Freemason. Commando Chris,
no.
that is not where you wanted to take a portal to, and now chuckles indeed as he put Commando Chris down. 5 members of Bang the Drums still standing. Only Pure Might and Toonie left to defend the tier 2.
And now that raw sustained, it saved the Sobek's life earlier. Now it can keep everyone nice and healthy for this siege. Bang the Drum decide to stay on the objective, the correct call there, to get 1,500 gold for their squad. And all of a sudden, that gold lead, which was already pretty big, just got exorbitant, over 10K almost.
And this is where Outlaws are showing me that they don't have all the decision-making or the shot-calling there, because they do successfully get Bang the Drums to leash the Gold Fury and they're in a good fight, but then they just pull it right back with Yada's all of his abilities up.
Yada's got every ability up. Weave is lurking in the water, and that out-secures Unstable Vortex, and it's unpeelable damage. That is just an objectively bad call by Outlaws. And I won't say that very often. I'll have to give teams the benefit of the doubt more often than not, but that call is just incorrect in every way from Outlaws.
And they end up getting punished for it heavily. Bang the Drums now does have an experience lead to go along with that gold lead of about 10,000 here before the 20-minute mark. They have not yet turned their attention towards the Fire Giant, but with this kind of lead, they very likely could do so at any point. They're going to go back, spend that gold, though, and regroup and try and force the issue here onto Outlaws. But what a fight it's been from Bang the Drums. I mean, Commando Chris goes to the portals, and who's waiting for him but El Chuckles? I mean, that's just a bad situation. Split Push almost was able to find a kill onto Weave, but I believe even the Sickening Strike was there for him along with Yada's heal, so they just couldn't get it done.
Unfortunate so far. You, by the way, I can tell you hung out with Anatoly last night.
How can you tell that?
You said force the issue.
Oh, yeah, I did hang out with Anatoly last night.
I know. I know that because you said force the issue.
That's not why I said it.
I think it is. Maybe subconsciously, I think it was.
Sure. He didn't even really say force the issue that much.
It's just the aura about Toly, you know, that he just exudes forcing the issue.
I try not to say force the issue so much because it's like, I want that to be Toly's thing. But
you know, Toly could like come out with a cologne called Force the Issue.
I'd wear that.
By Anatoly Alexeyev. That'd be,
especially if you said
first
that
of all,
name.
It would have to be a big bottle to have that name on it.
And have you ever seen cologne commercials? They never make sense.
No,
it would have
ever.
to be totally like climbing a mountain,
yes.
and then the cologne shows up at the end. You're like, what?
That would make more sense than most cologne commercials, to be honest.
Split Push goes in though. He gets pulled back. Mingyu again finds the impale to the wall, deleted by Yada. Split Push already out of this fight. Through space and time has been committed. Freemason has to use Typhoon defensively. He does get caught by the chain, pulled back in. Unstable Vortex from Commando Chris is enough to bring him down as Commando Chris in trouble on left-hand side. Mingyu takes down Pure Might. And now
man.
Russian Panda's caught before he can get into the rollout. He should be a very, very dead Gip.
That pillar was beautiful from Mingyu. It's not just about the slow in that instance, but he actually body blocks the rollout, keeps Russian Panda in place long enough for Weave to get his pluck back up and interrupt the channel of it. Really, really hot stuff there from Mingyu. And Bang the Drum just making it look pretty easy. Freemason struggled a bit this game, got a little bit too aggressive, has not had a lot of help with his frontliners. He's kind of going in onto targets by himself and allowing his frontliner to split off and deal with different members of Outlaws. Something to watch out for, I think, for Bang the Drum, but overall, it's been an impressive performance.
And Bang the Drum now with that Fire Giant have a lot of work still to do here on the map. Tier 2 tower in mid and in solo lane to add even more gold to their already exorbitant lead. Phoenixes, all three of those are still standing. The one in duo actually exposed already if they want to go to the one furthest from the Fire Giant and take it down right away. But a lot of times you want to go get that secured gold in those towers first. But take a look, this experience lead still very relevant, Ryan. I mean, level 16 is the highest for anyone on Outlaws, so they're dealing with huge level gaps still, as now Commando Chris does take over to 17, on top of the fact that everyone on Bang the Drums is just about to be 6 slot.
Yeah, it's a bad spot right now for Outlaws, to be sure, and I think that some of their itemization contributed to that. I don't like the Jade Emperor's Crown very much on split push, because you will look at the builds from Bang the Drum. A lot of lack of penetration. I'm looking at Mingyu in particular has 0 pen in the build so far. Freemason's got a lot of penetration for himself, but Yada just now finished Obsidian Shard. Chris has to lose the purification beads, as for some reason Outlaws decide they want to defend tier 2 for a moment, but decide ultimately to give that up. And split pushes isn't tanky enough to withstand the crits coming from Mingyu. If that's a Midgardian male, then he's in a much better spot defensively. I'm very surprised that Pure Might didn't go for a Brawler's Beat Stick against a Ra in the early game, and Yada's healing ultimately ended up being a big deal in a lot of these fights.
Yeah.
So I think that Outlaws have a couple things that they could look to outside of actual in-game execution to try and get into a spot where they can be more competitive against Bang the Drum.
Yeah, it feels like Split Push tried to go into maybe like cheaper options to sort of bridge the gap, but it just, I mean, that has not worked, right?
No.
Like, it is just not enough. Bang the Drums have kind of, so that's a play you make when you're like, okay, I'm behind, we'll bridge the gap, but if it doesn't work, if your next fight you lose it, you're even more behind because you've sunk gold into this item and it's just not efficient enough for what you need right now. And that is the case here for Outlaws. They go grab the Gold Fury, being very patient with their Fire Giant. They still have about a minute and a half or so left on it to come down and get the Phoenixes if they so choose. They've already gotten all the tier 2 towers and all the gold they can want.
So a little bit surprised that Bang the Drum decided to play it that slow instead of going for left Phoenix right away. Maybe mid tower into mid Phoenix because you got the beads out from Commando Chris.
That's true.
Looks like they did finish off some pretty important items with that back, though. I mean, Yada sells his Mage's Blessing for a Soul Gem. Deathbringer's now done for Mingyu, where he wasn't sitting on, he was only sitting on Hidden Dagger, I believe, before that. So these are some pretty important items that are worth backing for overall. I just wonder if Bang the Drum could have gotten a Phoenix before having to back and then try to re-siege afterward. They've still got a minute on this Fire Giant, and I've got a feeling they're just going to try and shove down mid and really heavy commit, because you only get 1 or 2 chances when you've only got a minute left on FG.
I'm a little surprised Mingyu went to this crit route because his impales into the Desert Fury have been so good, but I mean, his auto attacks have been there too, so certainly no problem for Mingyu. They do group up. Mid Phoenix is going to be the call, not even pushing up the other waves. They are ready to try and force this fight. In fact, the blink comes out on the right-hand side. Pure Might has got to retreat, already brought down to half HP. I believe that was Freemason who committed the blink over there to try and bring some damage on the Pure Might.
It was, but Pure Might had Magi's Cloak, so didn't have to use the ultimate, didn't have to use his Purification Beads. Freemason loses a relic for getting a 60-second cooldown on an item that Pure Might has bought.
Good damage coming from Commando Chris over the wall, but Weave has gone in and found the pluck on the Split Push, who immediately faces a whole lot of damage. Pure Might goes up onto the Pal-Out to try and pull in a target. Meanwhile, the Stygian Torment comes out, but doesn't find anyone. Cataclysm from Russian Panda doesn't strike home either, and now he's getting pulled back in inside the rollout and getting interrupted. Mid Phoenix falls, Russian Panda falls, Weave finds Pure Might, and finally those beads end up coming out, but now Mingyu is here with the auto attacks, and he brings him down.
Man, that sprint 3 just lets Mingyu chase down Pure Might so easily. Commando Chris just able to make it back into his fountain, but Mid Phoenix is down. No minion wave here, and Fire Giant has fallen off Bang the Drum. They're starting to back up a little bit.
Tooney's going forward very far. Does have the agility, though, when he gets knocked up, so he is able to jump away from Weave. But that mid-Phoenix fight was relatively clean from Bang the Drums. They forced back Outlaws, grab 2 kills for themselves on the Pure Might and Russian Panda. And now that the Fire Giant's done, they're going to go back, pick the buff up one more time, and then look to reaggress.
Mid-Phoenix down for quite some time now, so you've got plenty of time to just clear Pyromancer, back, finish whatever items you need to finish, you know, sell your blessings, whatever it may be. Now for Bang the Drum, come back to Fire Giant, do that very quickly, and then look to continue pressure on one of the side lanes as your mid fire waves are pushing into the Titan room. You want to push in tandem with those fire waves to put additional pressure on the enemy team.
And I think we're starting to see the problem with Dodgy here, Ryan. Like, everyone, I feel like everyone except for Freemason just gets out of the ult for free with their own ult in response, and that's exactly what Bang the Drum want to do. Is that they want Yada, you know, finding the snipes. They want Weave and the lurking in the water. So when Pure Might goes up, you know, and tries to get those pulls onto the Powwow, Bang the Drum can respond with the ultimates, and then when Cataclysm comes out, they can respond with the beads. I mean, they have too strong of a response to the waves of initiation that Outlaws want to do.
Well, early game, Dodgy is looking for that Powwow in order for the pulls and to set up for the team and things of that nature. But by this point in the game, ideally, your Dodgy is not only using Powwow as a extender to try and keep the fight going, to chase down a low health target, or to get herself out of danger for the moment and then reset once her cooldowns are back up. Dodgy's late game is nearly unparalleled among assassins when it comes to damage, but Pure Might fell so far behind that he was forced into going for a lot of protection, a lot of defensive items, and now that aggressiveness that we're used to seeing from Dodgy's in the late game isn't going to be nearly as effective.
He hasn't had a target. I mean, who can he afford to Trickster Spirit in on, right? Or Blink in on at this point and try and, you know, going for more damage on the backside? There's no one, so he's kind of been relegated to trying to find relevance. As Russian Panda blinks in with the Cataclysm. Yada very low, as is Mingyu already on the retreat. Yada looks for the snipe but finds nothing. Tooney is going to try and find Mingyu, does win that trade, but in comes El Chuckles to try and take down Tooney. Weave is able to get that one done, I believe, with the lurking in the waters. And El Chuckles cannot be touched here in this contest. Freemason and Pure Might are going to fight out here in the jungle, but Chuckles comes back in. Can't find it, but Yada can.
Yada and Mingyu both got hit by a great snipe from Commando Chris. That's as much as you could ever hope for if you're Outlaws, but they were just too far behind. If this is a 10,000 gold lead instead of a 19,000 gold lead, Outlaws wipe Bang the Drum there. Instead, just ended up being a little bit too little, too late. Love the fight, clearly is there, but just too little from Outlaws.
Yeah, Bang the Drums are just too far ahead at this point. Phoenix on the right-hand side falls. Only Russian Panda standing, and he's still level 16, almost 30 minutes into this contest. And even without Mingyu, they've got way more than enough damage. Bang the Drums. Arasa is very recently put together, come out looking very strong here in this game, up against Outlaws, and take game 1.
Impressive from them, and you just saw at the end there, Commando Chris actually ends up top of the player damage chart.
Yeah,
he was doing some pretty good stuff on that Giannis. Ended up being worthy, I think, of that first pick overall, but the rest of the side lanes were just kind of getting dominated. Freemason was able to get off to a great start, and then Susano, he fell behind a little bit in the mid game because Pure Might stepped it up, but I think that Chuckles was able to make such a bigger impact in these team fights and split push, in so much damage and healing at the same time coming out of Yada was ultimately too much to handle.
And don't forget, Mingyu and Weave got off to a good start in their duo lane as well. Not only did they have the wave pressure, but you talked about it, Yada was able to come over with those Searing Pains and strip away those red buffs all early game long. So they're losing in the duo lane, and they don't even have farm to go get in the jungle.
Right, and that ended up being critical. Mingyu in that early to mid game was absolutely dominant. Weave was everywhere, and Russian Panda was just trying to catch up desperately. He was so far behind. Now, the one thing that if I'm looking at what I want to do against Bang the Drum, if I'm on Outlaws now, Chuckles was not rotating at all in the early game. He didn't want to join a fight until 20 minutes almost, it felt like. So I wouldn't mind seeing something really, really late game, like an Amaterasu or something like that in that solo lane, or go the other route. Pick a Kukulkan for yourself, pick an Achilles, and then try and go aggressive in that solo lane, rotate early and often if you're split push, and try and make it a 4v5 or a 5v4 or whatever it may be in your favor to make sure that, you know, because Chuckles didn't seem keen on leaving that solo at all.
Well, it's a bit ironic that split push is the one that was more comfortable coming to the fights instead of split pushing, isn't it?
Right.
I don't know. Well, his team was ahead, so maybe Chuckles didn't feel like he needed to be there, but picks and bans are ready for game 2. Let's see if the adjustment can be made here, because Outlaws clearly got some things they got to change Banging the Drums just looked like they got essentially everything they wanted there in game 1.
You really did, and I think that if I'm on Outlaw, I'm really worried about the raw pick for Yada now. I'm concerned about that on her pick, but you're definitely not going to ban on her, are you? I mean, you really can't. Maybe you try and pick something that can fight a little bit better in the early game than Jingwei, worry less about the safety and more about just being able to actually take 1v1s against Mingyu.
And what can you do? Remember, Outlaws banned like 2 hunters, didn't they, in the second ban phase? And still, Mingyu was able to get the on her and look like he plays on her every day, all day long. I mean, he got the 2v1, I believe, in the dual lane with those hot impales. I mean, it's hard to come back when not only you're losing everywhere, but you're losing 2v1s.
It's nearly impossible at that point. That's when you know that you're in some serious trouble. There's the raw ban. Okay, good stuff from Outlaw. This does leave open Terra and Athena, but you're leaving open Terra and Athena, so the enemy team can't take both in that first pick slot.
Right.
I think this is much better so far from Outlaws, and this is kind of one of the reasons why you sometimes do throwaway bans, maybe even 2 throwaway bans if you're on Bang the Drum, because you could have gotten another top-tier god in return. Outlaws would get 2, you would get 2. Now you're each getting 1, which isn't horrible, but it's not ideal necessarily either.
It is going to be the Athena that's picked up here by Outlaws. Remember, we saw the Sobek and the Kukulkan that were prioritized very early on, so no surprise that Outlaws are going to grab this Sobek. Take that away, because Wii was playing it so well there in game 1. They don't want to have to worry about those plucks yet again. Now it's over to Bang the Drums. If they want to try and pick up the Cerberus for themselves, they certainly can.
I wonder if that's going to be Sobek solo or Athena solo. I wouldn't be too surprised to see it be the Athena solo. Can easily interrupt the Cerberus with that Ghastly Breath, though. So can Sobek, obviously. I think either one can really make it work in that solo lane. I just think I'd rather have that Athena in the solo lane because, like I said, Chuckles doesn't seem to want to rotate very early, and now you can use that Defender of Olympus to rotate very, very early and impact these fights.
I like this, though. Outlaws are trying to make not just Freemason, but Bang the Drums really beat them with something else. I think I like that. If nothing else, make them do it with something else right here. They got the Susano pick. They got the Sobek. They've banned away some of the picks they wanted to use, like the Ross. So Yada is going to have to try and find something else as well. They banned the Giannis away themselves, so they're going to have to find a different mid laner, but at least force Bang the Drums to show you they can do it on some other picks.
I don't mind it, especially like Pure Might looked like he was semi-comfortable on the dodgy, but he got a lot of kills, but didn't really do a whole lot by himself. And I think that giving him a different pick and something before the second ban phase is a good idea here for Outlaws. And like you said, make Bang the Drum show you something else that they can give you.
Well, this time they're not going to turn their attention towards the Hunter lane from Outlaws, so it looks like Mingyu's going to be able to get a priority pick. I mean, every Hunter is still available at this point. He kind of gave it every once, as Raijin is prioritized here by Outlaws. And Hachiman is going to be the selection. He was available last game.
He was.
But Mingyu didn't go with it, so surprised he picks it here.
It's one of those picks that usually picking gods with dashes or leaps against Susano doesn't feel that good because he can just leave the jet stream on you and then teleport to it whenever necessary. The longer your dash is, the longer it lasts, and especially if you can force Susano to teleport to you and still have distance to cover, you're in a much better spot.
Right.
And of course, I'm talking about mounted archery, where he's not going to be able to stay on top of you that entire time. He'll catch up, but not stay on top as easily. So I like this pick.
Ullr's going to be selected. You said something that can maybe hang with Mingyu early, and I think that's what Ullr does pretty well, is box early on. Maybe not so much in team fights. You probably want some other hunters, but in lane in that 1v1, Ullr is a nightmare.
Ooh, it is Athena solo. Nice. I really like this. So like I was saying, Split Push now gets the option to just ult into team fights very, very early on. Save your teleport. You exclusively want to use that to get back to lane after ulting or in a spot where your ultimate is down and you know you aren't going to be using it anytime soon. You can use that teleport a little bit more traditionally, but I think this is the right sort of setup for the draft that Outlaws went with.
The other adjustment is that Russian Panda has gone with that sprint this time, as opposed to the blink he had last game, and it's upgraded too, so it's going to be able to respond to Weave and Mingyu in the dual lane a little bit easier. Not just with a more aggressive Hunter, but with Sobek, who can be much more active early, and the sprint. I already like Outlaws' chances here in the dual lane a lot better.
Agreed. This is a good response from Outlaws. You showed they had some signs of life still. I mean, they got beat up week 1 by Athletico. They got crushed week 1. Then they get pretty much dominated in game 1 of this set, but I like where their headspace is. You can tell that they're paying attention to what is working against them, and I think how they can play around it. What went wrong, you know, the blink instead of the sprint early on, things of that nature.
Pure Might's already in trouble, though. Freemason hunts him down. First blood goes over to Bang the Drums, and ironically, it's going to be Commando Chris who's banging the drums, but it's BTD who get the kill.
I guess I just cast those curse them. I'm sorry. Outlaws, I should have waited on that, or maybe said it a little bit earlier. I don't know. I'm still working out the timing of how my caster's curse works. Finch, did you know that every caster's curse is a little bit different?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Patronus, if you will. Like everyone's got their own particular style. I'm trying to work out the timing of mine. Usually it's about 2 seconds after I'm done with what I'm saying is when whatever I was saying won't happen, or some team is doing well. That's when they'll start doing poorly.
Right.
But it's important to get your timings down on casters.
Yeah, mine most often manifests in that person's not going to survive, then they do.
I did that last game.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So yeah,
Sobek,
yeah. I know what you're talking about. That happens. As the Athena having a good matchup here against El Chuckles. You've seen Split Push use the taunt to interrupt that ghastly breath. Not this time, though. Chuckles actually getting a few bites in onto Athena over here on the solo lane. These two Guardians both going to be very strong when they started rotating, but you highlighted it. It's very likely that Split Push can have those impacts sooner, so they're going to need to make sure that they take advantage of that, as Russian Panda already takes a ton of poke. Heavenly Banner comes in. Russian Panda just waiting on the pluck, and he is able to dash away.
Very, very close. That was a sprint from Outlaws, not from Bang the Drum. So now Mingyu and Weave can freeze the wave almost on that left side. Also could just push and try and invade that purple, which is likely the better call, because looks like Outlaws is heading towards that purple now. Not sure if the dual lane from Bang the Drum will be able to clear in time to contest. Doesn't seem particularly likely, but red buff is about to spawn as well. So if they're on top of their timings, this can be a red buff steal away, especially with Yada having pressure in mid.
That is where they're heading, and Commando Chris, I think, has gotten that call from Russian Panda that this is where they need to be. He's going to come over to try and contest this. Weave takes some damage on the backside. Mingyu has to retreat as well. Now Weave kind of been left alone on an island. Great response from Outlaws, but Strife gets good damage. Yada cannot punish, and Outlaws are able to find a kill.
Man, a 4-man Strife there from Yada, and it's just too little too late. Weave ends up falling pretty early on. I love that response from Outlaws. They give up the wave in duo to Russian Panda and Toonie, and that's a risk, especially in the early game when it's really important that you're getting every wave to make sure that you're keeping up in XP. But in order to shut down Weave and Mingyu to get the purification beads and the sprint, both relics from both of those members, that's going to end up being worth it for Outlaws in the end. So good decision.
And the reason why it's important, and you're highlighting it, is because Pure Might and Commando Chris probably can't make it to purple buff if that's the invade that Bang the Drum are making. But when you force them to go that extra distance over to red, then your team get that full collapse and defend that buff. So they go to purple, secure it, and force Mingyu and Weave to make a choice they don't want to have to. Things are not exactly in their favor over in dual lane, but instead of Mingyu and Weave running away with it, they've definitely helped out. That assist credit went to just about everyone, and the kill for Pure Might.
Pluck onto Mingyu. He has no ultimate. Here comes the ultimate from Split Push. Toonie's the one who's falling very low, though. Commando Chris does end up finding the double kill, but somehow Mingyu weaved in an extra auto attack to find Toonie.
It looks like Outlaws have said, okay, so they're going to try and win the 2v2 in dual lane, so let's just make it a 5v2 or a 4v2, right? And now we can win it. And so that's what Outlaws have done here so far. They've been able to take down Weave and Mingyu. Weave now twice, Mingyu once, but as you mentioned, Toonie ends up taking a spill there too, and so they end up at least getting one back.
Looked like one of Taco's ranked games, 5 people in dual lane before 5 minutes, and you're, as an ADC, you just got to throw your hands up like, what is this? What am I supposed to do? But Split Push utilizes exactly what I was saying earlier. Use your ultimate, contribute the damage, get an assist or two, and then teleport into lane.
Yes.
And you don't really lose out on anything at all. That's great usage of not only your kit, but your items as well.
Bang the Drums, though, don't seem discouraged about this red buff invade that happened last time. Not going to be able to make it in quite in time. Actually gets plucked right back into the stun from Toonie, and they delete Freemason. Outlaws done a great job punishing here so far. Russian Panda does get pushed towards Weave. He does land
Nice
a 2-man stun, but Yada has no cooldowns to follow up, and Toonie is forced to jump away.
Weave just didn't use the Earth and Fury there. Don't think he understood how much damage Yada was going to bring at that point. He's already finished off his pen boots. Not sure if it would have been enough in total now that I think about it, so it might have been better to just hold on to it there, but this seems like a little bit of overconfidence so far.
Yes.
From Bang the Drum. Freemason definitely just has no business standing that close, and if you're going to beads, you beads the initial CC. You beads the pluck. Don't let yourself be put into a bad spot and still guarantee that extra bit of damage.
Might be trouble here for Weave. Toonie goes in. Of course he finds the axe. Pure Might with the pull. Defender of Olympus going to be here as well with another taunt. Follows through. Typhoon for the knockup. That hits 2, and Weave falls to Split Push. Another big rotation from Outlaws. That's 5 kills for the boys in red.
And no TP this time for Split Push, but look at the right side of the map. Not a whole lot up to be stolen by Chuckles. So this is well timed to utilize that ultimate. You give up a wave, but you end up helping out your duo lane get another kill. XP Harpies do go the way of Bang the Drums, but those are up so often that it's almost impossible to play around those being down. And while you're on the other side of the map, that's a totally acceptable loss to get another kill in the duo lane.
And doesn't this feel like Bang the Drums still think they're up 19,000 gold?
Yes.
From game one? And that can happen sometimes where you're playing for like 29 minutes with a huge lead, and it can be hard to reset a little bit back to where everything's even. Outlaws have done a great job punishing the over-aggression, but look at the gold, Ryan. It's not as if Outlaws, with more than double the kills of Bang the Drums, have a lead. It's actually Bang the Drum who are still farming more efficiently, 1,200 experience and 600 gold.
And that's a big deal to not be up at any XP or gold at this point, but I still think Outlaws have a lot of momentum right now, and that is not a tangible number, but I think ultimately does count for something.
I think being able to finally get some kills is going to help. Yada cannot find home with the apple. Commando Chris jumps into it and actually takes some free damage, so he has to back off. They're not going to be able to steal away this red buff, but I mean, that's a feels bad, man, if you're Raijin.
No, man, that's Yada knows. Yada had that one read like a book.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's free for Yada, dude. Come on, man.
Every time.
Every time.
Commando Chris can be a little bit more considerate about where he wants to Thunder Crash in the future. Tower in mid lane is very poked out. That's part of the price you pay for all these rotations. We're starting to see some of that manifest. Now it looks like Yasmin will just kind of freely push up this wave, and they're not too far from being able to bring this down.
Oracles are up right now, and that's where Commando Chris and Russian Panda head to, and they will secure both of those. And that's, you were just talking about, you lose that bit of farm underneath your tower. You might lose your tower very early for going to duo so often. Well, one way to make sure that at least those rotations are proving fruitful is to make sure that the enemy team doesn't have vision guaranteed around that Gold Fury.
Right.
A little bit better now, a little bit easier, I should say, for Outlaws to walk through that Gold Fury pit. As long as they have their sentry wards, which they do on the top side, which is where they've been coming from pretty consistently, just because of how far pushed up Bang the Drums has been. That's one way to make sure that your rotations won't be spotted out too early.
The teleport is back up for split push, though, so I might not be surprised if they go aggressive, just like we're seeing here. Commando Chris is going to be looking for the damage, is going to go right into Freemason, but Thunder crashes the right direction this time. Has Defender of Olympus on top of him. Typhoon not going to be the problem. EI Jitsu won't be enough, but Mingyu finds the shot anyway. That's crazy. Weave able to take down Russian Panda. 2 quick kills for Bang the Drums. Now Split Push wants to try and hunt down Freemason. Apple off the mark, and Bang the Drums leave with their 2 kills.
Oh, Pure Might needs to be careful, though. Look at Chuckles coming from that right side. He's looking for him, and XP camps are up. Pure Might down to 1 HP, and will be able to escape, but Chuckles kind of has his pick of the litter here in this jungle.
Tooney jumps in towards Yada. Freemason's got to know that that big cooldown's not available, but he lands the axe hail of arrows. Bladed arrow shuts him down. Freemason, we'll see you later. Tooney feeling a lot better on the Euler pick.
Without a doubt, that's twice now that he's basically just styled onto Freemason with the axe combo. Freemason has not done a good job of respecting a lot of the damage, not only in this game, but I think in game 1 he struggled in that regard as well.
And I think that I like the mentality. You just saw the jump get forced out in mid, so Tooney feels like a nice tasty target, but he just lands the abilities. That's all it really takes in a situation. Looks like no beads are available for Freemason there either, and kind of just gets punished by this Uller. 2, 1, and 4, still behind a little bit of Mingyu, but just looking worlds better than on that Jingwei.
Well, now Mingyu's beads are down, which should be communicated pretty quickly to Tooney. Lost him in that last little skirmish in mid lane as he was trying to find the last shots to clean up a kill for himself, which he did end up finding, by the way. So now Mingyu is pretty vulnerable to Tooney's combo, and as a result, I'd like to see Tooney try and play aggressive once he backs. He hasn't backed yet, and as a result, Mingyu is way ahead in items. He already has his boots completed. He's way ahead in stacks, over double almost what Tooney has thus far, and he's got that tier 1 of the Shuriken.
Blink in from Pure Might, pull on Mingyu, who does have the horse available, so he just retreats. Purple buff now being looked at, but Weave and Mingyu are still here and trying to defend. Split push now goes in, taunts Weave back towards the rest of the team. Pure Might has the Typhoon being committed, but Earth and Fury comes out from Weave as well. And now Yada's here to land the Strife. Mingyu finds Russian Panda. Pure Might in a whole lot of trouble now as well. Freemason, though, gets blown up by Commando Chris. He goes up to the Taiko drum, controls Mingyu, and finds a double kill, but Yada eventually brings him down.
Yada's going to be able to clean house here. That's another kill for him, a double. Good axe from Tooney, gonna go up and down, looking for some more, but Chuckles ends up joining the fray on this left-hand side and is able to find a kill for himself. 3 for 3 at the end of the day, I believe, because Pure Might somehow managed to escape with very, very low HP.
What a crazy fight there in the jungle. And that starts with the Outlaws aggressing onto that purple buff. And Mingyu responds very well with the horse, gets out. And then they commit a lot of ultimates onto Weave, it feels like, from Outlaws. The Terra, the Earth and Fury, so good at helping survive that initial burst.
He's also got plenty of extra protection at this point. Was just able to get back and get that Gauntlet of Thieves, I believe. So maybe didn't have as much prots as initially thought in that little skirmish. Just some extra HP from that tier 2 of that item. But Terra's just tanking enough as is, and you're right, that Earth and Fury ended up playing a big, big part in that damage. And Toonie was trying to execute what Yada did in game 1, which is use a big ability off of that Wind Siphon CC, but the travel time of the axe was just a little bit too long and couldn't quite find it. And that's really what Outlaws needed if they wanted to find that early kill, was the full combo from Toonie.
Chuckles comes in on the bottom and gets taunted in by Split Push, who he has a 3-level lead on, by the way, because of all the rotation. Split Push can't handle the damage coming out from Yada. It's way too strong, and Chuckles will try and chase him down. Stygian Torment just barely out of range, and Split Push does escape. Doesn't have Defender of Olympus, has teleport, so he might be coming right back towards a tower.
Pure Might put Chuckles in combat, who was trying to blink and then Stygian Torment to guarantee the pull on the Split Push, but got put in combat a little bit too early and ended up just ulting.
Russian Panda can't find the plug, so has to start lurking in the waters, but Mingyu won't let him come back out. He's gonna drown from the arrows coming out from the Hunter. Next one up is Pure Might, double kill for Mingyu. Commando Chris sets up a triple kill now for Mingyu. Toonie in a lot of trouble. Good axe does deter the aggression from the dog, and he's gonna jump away. Bang the Drum need to regroup and go for an objective, though, off those 3 big kills.
Man, Mingyu's just got no fear. He doesn't have Aegis. He hasn't backed since he hit level 12, and he's only got beads. Commando Chris goes up into the Taiko drums, and what does Mingyu do? Run at him and just keep auto-attacking. Who also have to say, Mingyu should go to the casino tonight, because he's been getting crits left and right with not a lot of crit chance on that tier 2 of the Kasari.
And you're of the school that he's rolling high this whole game, right? With his crits, like
right.
Right. So it's like
that's what crits are like. Once you get one, I'll put it this way: whenever you are playing Hunbats or Unbats, if you're John Finch,
yes,
or
if you're correct,
and you crit the first camp, you're like, this is going to be a good game. This is indicative of me getting lots of crits throughout the game.
Now, I think you have a pool of crits, and I just wasted one on this camp.
No. It's indicative of how many you're going to get. Especially if you crit the first 2 camps, you're like, this game's over. Like, we already won.
Right. Like, I'm already high rolling.
I'm clearly going to crit all game long. That's the difference between you and I, John Finch.
Right.
I'm an optimist. You're a pessimist.
I mean, that's still optimistic. I'm just like a little disappointed that my pool of crits got kind of wasted here. Like, oh man.
I don't think that's optimistic at all. I think you're looking on the downside there instead of saying, this is good. I'm going to be rolling well all game.
Hey man, if I'm as good as Mingyu, then I can look on the optimistic side all the time. I mean, this guy certainly seems to find the opportunity. They say luck is when preparation meets some other thing.
Holy cow, you really did hang out with Anatoly last night.
Is that a Tully thing to say luck is when preparation meets?
Oh my goodness, he says that all the time.
Well, he's 100% right, and
he answers the phone with Anatoly. By the way, luck is where preparation meets whatever he says.
I don't want what you're buying, but if you want to force the issue, I'm down. Toonie in a whole heap of trouble. Mingyu, no crit. Did he?
Oh yeah, he crit.
Big crits on that and takes Toonie down. Yeah, Mingyu, he gets it done. Too slow after the slow coming out from the mounted archery. Now Pyromancer being looked at along with the tier 1 tower and duo, and I think Mingyu should just keep pushing, and he will. Chuckles gets taunted in, but Split Push is more looking to retreat than anything. Gets chunked by that paralyzing spit. They send Pure Might to try and defend the tier 2, but it's too late.
Yeah, this is gonna go down. Mingyu should be able to just get around the body blocks, but with the Athena ultimate, no, maybe not. That might not be enough. Mingyu is gonna get knocked up. Still finds the auto attack though.
And now he's life stealing.
Is going for it.
Oh, but the dash was just too strong. Mingyu, well, what a nut he's been this game. Gets the tier 2 tower, lands the stun off the Defender of Olympus that comes in. That's what gets him an opportunity to turn around and find the big Fort 19 crit that comes out, and then he does find the kill in the 1v2. His team also appears to have gotten the Pyromancer. Oh, it's so strong for this Bang the Drum roster is Mingyu, man.
Been impressive so far, and it's exciting to see him back in the competitive scene. Took a little bit of a break for a while, I think, but now has been just kind of dominating, man. 8-3, top of the player damage charts by a considerable margin, and he's building even more crit. So pretty soon he'll reach 100%, it feels like.
Sure.
He's going to crit off every auto.
Okay.
Really? Okay, so when you're against an Artemis in lane and you get crit early, you're like, that's good because she'll crit me less later. I'm like, I'm screwed because she's going to crit me all game.
Yeah, like if Artemis crits like a camp, like she just crit in the wave a whole bunch, then I am worried. That's true. So maybe I'm inconsistent with how I feel about it.
Yeah,
if I see a bunch of crits coming, I'm like, oh no, like that's not good.
Right. So you need to.
Yeah, maybe I am inconsistent. You're right.
I think you just need to reconsider. That's all.
Yeah, I'll reconsider.
Thank you.
Chuckles might want to be reconsidering going into this 2v1. He is level 17, so I don't know how much concern he has. Yada is making the rotation over. Taunt to interrupt the Ghastly Breath. Toonie is on his way to this as well, but level 13 is the Uller, and I don't think he wants any part of this either. Chuckles is indeed chuckling as he just kind of leaps.
He's aptly named, isn't he? He really likes the VEL.
Yeah, not like Split Push, who constantly goes to help his team.
Yeah, like
what a horrible name. He's a great team player, actually.
He should rename for
yeah.
sure.
Mingyu getting big shots on the Russian Panda, who already has to leave. Commando Chris is Thundercraft away. And Mingyu, as we've said, has no fear, goes in with the mounted archery. Not enough to get the kill, but Chuckles gets some beads off the Stygian Torment. Freemason with the collapse on the Split Push. I believe they blocked the dash there, so Athena is dead to rights.
That's going to be an easy tier 2 tower now for Bang the Drum. Russian Panda should consider himself lucky that Mingyu only got 1 crit there underneath that tier 2, or else he certainly would have fallen.
I suppose.
Only one tier 2 left standing now on the map for Bang the Drum to take. When did they get up 10,000 gold?
Yeah, I remember how I was saying Outlaws doing a way better job slowing it down, but I mean, Bang the Drums are right back where they were 18 minutes into game 1 with a tremendous lead for themselves in experience and gold, and rightfully so. They're going to pull the Fire Giant here. Russian Panda, Commander Chris are the closest ones, and they're not very close. They should be able to burn through this Fire Giant relatively quickly.
Gold Fury is about to respawn in about 10 seconds, and once this Fire Giant noise goes off and Outlaws are aware that it's down, I'd love to see them try and rush that down because it's likely that Bang the Drum will just back after getting this objective. And even just between Toonie and Pure Might, that should be enough damage to bring down this Gold Fury, but instead they look a little bit too gun shy on that left side and will both back to base.
They are going to back. I'm a little bit surprised by that. At least maybe like step in and the jungle look for something. If the knowledge is there that Bang the Drums are very likely backing, you know, then you think Outlaws want to look for something, but they end up getting nothing off the back of this. And Mingyu might be coming up to grab this Gold Fury for himself. That does appear to be his pathing. That's just going to make this gold lead even worse for Outlaws. And as you mentioned, all the tier 2s except for the one in solo are down. Bang the Drums are going to be pushing on a Phoenix very soon.
Very, very soon. And Mingyu should be getting pretty close to that Deathbringer as Hidden Dagger, so might decide to back to Short Sword to up his crit chance a little bit more, or could just stick around and keep the push going. Yada, same sort of build as last game. Instead of the Rod of Asclepius right after the Soul Reaver, he instead elects for Soul Gem, but still not a lot of penetration in that build. And now that Russian Panda has finished off his Heartward Amulet, that's going to make all of Outlaws significantly tankier to Yada's damage. So this is an opportunity for Outlaws to at least be slightly safer.
The grouping is going to be for the tier 2 tower in right lane, though, from Bang the Drum. It looks like we do have a brief pause coming out from our players. We'll help them get everything sorted and then right back into the game momentarily. But what do Outlaws have to do here, Ryan, to try and defend on this Phoenix? I imagine you give up this tier 2 every single day of the week. So what do they got to do on the Phoenix?
You just kind of have to wait and hope that there's some over-aggression, I think, from the side of Bang the Drum. I'm looking to see if Freemason's going to go a little bit too deep. Maybe Chuckles will blink in and look for an ultimate that doesn't really end up proving fruitful.
Right.
You have to make sure that your damage dealers are a little bit spread out when you're talking about a Cerberus blink initiation. So if Toonie and you want to see the other side, the mid laner as well, kind of separated a little bit, then maybe axe stun the Cerberus off the blink initiation after his ultimate goes off, and then try and blow him up, because otherwise you really need to isolate one member at a time and take it piece by piece, because if you're trying to take down multiple members of Bang the Drum, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, and Commando Chris is got to try and make sure he is a little bit further away from where Toonie is. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, we talked about rolling bad luck. I mean, Commando Chris has kind of had some of that here today, like walking into the apple. I know that didn't lead to any kills or anything, but it just kind of feels indicative of the kind of day Chris is happening here in that mid lane. As it sounds like everything is sort of here with the players are ready to move back into the match. Tier 2, it looks like the defense is going to be on. Pure Might goes in for the pull. Now Split Push is taunting in Weave. But Russian Panda's going to try and follow up with the Lurking the Waters. Weave is very tanky, though, and has no problem just backing up.
I don't hate that defense, if only because Chuckles wasn't there, and they saw him on the map pushing a mid and left wave. But now Chuckles is here, and there goes the fight.
pulls 2 people into the Stygian Torment. Tycho jumps Commando Chris, does bring Freemason rather very low as Yada takes down Russian Panda. They're going to come back and grab this tier 2 tower, and there's El Chuckles yet again, looping on the backside, finding the big Stygian Torment, and just disrupting the whole fight.
But that did cost Bang the Drums all of their ults, and they are sort of weak for Freemason and Weave in particular. Now, between Fire Giant and this Monolith heal, it won't take too long for them to be healthy, but Outlaws still have that Athena ultimate that Bang the Drum have to worry about.
But look at Yada and Ming Yu. They have not had to use their relics yet, and Pure Might is getting crit to high heaven. Ming Yu deletes the jungler. Double kill now for the Hachiman. He forces Commando Chris out of town. Phoenix on the right-hand side under siege, and Bang the Drum will have no problem bringing this one down.
So you might not have an ultimate on Bang the Drum, but a 2-man strife into crits from Ming Yu may as well count as an ultimate. That's tough to deal with, to be sure.
It's pretty good when you're able to get that strife into the madness as opposed to just the root and force them to start not just hitting each other, but make pretty easy targets for Ming Yu. Commando Chris looking for damage over the wall. Does have that Raiju pushing through, but look at the healing coming in from Weave. I mean, that's not nothing. That's bumping them up there. They're enjoying that Terra heal.
That is indeed not nothing.
Thank you.
That was just a very unfinch phrase to use, and so that's why I felt the need to call it out.
Sure. I mean, I was gonna say, Terra heal's not the biggest, but then I mean, it was actually more than I was expecting.
Yeah,
Weave healed up pretty good.
Well, it's not just the Terra heal; it's because
Sure.
it's stacked with the Fire Giant heal that it looks very, very impactful. Two of those smaller heals put together end up looking good.
Taunt into Weave interrupts him in the middle of his dash, but it doesn't seem to have made much of a difference for Split Push. Pure Might also in trouble as Ming Yu continues to slaughter Outlaws here underneath the Phoenix in mid lane. Russian Panda's using the Defender of Olympus, or rather Split Pushes, and they want Russian Panda to go in, but Strife pushes them back, and now the Apple comes out, and Russian Panda has to leave. Split Push comes in forward, but now he has to fall back too. Outlaws can't find a way in.
Freemason ults and destroys Tooney, but Ming Yu's gonna get the double kill for it, and the Titan is next. A quick 22-minute performance from Bang the Drum, who, as expected, returned to the scene and looked very, very good doing it.
Now that's a full-on DSI. Titan is going to fall. Bang the Drums looks excellent here in this set up against Outlaws. And surprisingly, this is the game where Outlaws started off very well in the beginning. It didn't seem to matter. Bang the Drum finished even faster, 22 minutes, 38 seconds, and continued dominance for this team here in Oceania.
Well, Outlaws looked good at the beginning, but it took a lot of investment. I mean,
it did,
split push, ulting over consistently, and that worked for them. But then that gave Chuckles a massive lead in that solo lane because split push was missing so many waves.
Right.
4-man splitting those kills so that you're not getting as much out of the resulting waves and the resulting buff invades and things of that nature. And Bang the Drum just kind of weathered the storm for a little bit, and then Ming Yu shows up, gets crit, and it obliterates everyone.
They probably have that moment we were talking about where they're like, yeah, we might be down like 3 or 4 kills, but we're like up gold and experience because they're not farming the map. And
yeah, and we're like, we're chilling.
Yeah, also we're fine. Yeah, so they're able to come out and definitely still look strong. Ming Yu in particular looked great on the Hachiman, but really just as a squad, I was impressed. We saw that big play in the mid lane in game 1, the pull into the snipe, so just to show the coordination that's there between these two members.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the future of this Bang the Drum team, and I can't wait to see them up against Atletico, the other top team in the Oceania region, and which team is going to prove to be better right now, I think is going to be really fun to watch.
So Ming Yu highlights, this is what we're talking about, where he seems to just run into abilities. He ran into the Lurking in the Water, then he ran into the Typhoon, then he runs into the Tycho Drums. I don't think he cares that you're ulting. I think he wants to come kill you.
He really does. And by the way, that I believe he had tier 2 of crit there, and not even just like the hidden dagger, but like tier 2, the 8-pointed shuriken. Like, that is not a lot of crit chance. And Ming Yu, as soon as he gets that crit onto Sobek, he's like, this is going to be a good game.
Well, you talked about Atletico and how well they're doing. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at those standings to see where our 2 squads we saw here today, Bang the Drum and Outlaws, line up. And Bang the Drum's 2-0 right now, so you're right. Once we see Atletico and Bang the Drum play, we might have our definitive Oceania front runner at that point. They both have looked very strong against everyone else in Oceania.
They have, and I'm excited. We haven't gotten a chance to see Jackson 5 yet, so they'll get an opportunity against Outlaws. You know, some team will get that morale boost of a win against one another, but I think Atletico versus Bang the Drum's the one to watch out for. It's going to be awesome.
Well, we are going to be going into the minor league after this, Ryan, so the SMITE action just continues. Very fortunate for you all there at home that you got plenty to watch. So we're going to take a quick break, get ready for that. Go ahead and grab your drink and get right back here for the minor league.
sat down by the ocean. It's that tears that I feel, fill up with emotions. Could I taste them for real? Longing for you, longing for you. Oh, but I can't get back. What can I do? What can I do when your train is gone? I don't wanna go back, back. Don't wanna go back. If you are not with me, hey, do you read me? Go back, back to where we came from. If my hands are empty, hey, do you read me? Go back. I don't wanna go alone. Go back. If you are not with me, hey, I don't wanna go back. I know you want the best for me. Your intentions are good. I walk back to my history, into my old neighborhood. Longing for you, longing for you. Oh, but I can't get back. What can I do? What can I do when your train is gone? I don't wanna go back, back. Don't wanna go back. If you are not with me, hey, do you read me? Go back, back to where we came from. If my hands are empty, hey, do you read me? Go back. I don't wanna go alone. Go back. If you are not with me, hey, I don't wanna go back.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and from the darkness we arise. Welcome to the SMITE Minor League. My name is Tom. That's going to be Taco, and we've got an exciting matchup for you today. Burrito taking on Fear No Evil. Should be tight.
Just some more flavor matches from the EU SML that they have to offer. And I think that a lot of us are pretty familiar with Burrito, but Fear No Evil, I mean, this is a team that's really looking to make their mark in the European SMITE Minor League.
Yeah, a lot of up-and-coming talent here. Across the way, it's going to be a little bit tough coming in against this squad. You know, Burrito, we all well know these guys and how strong they've been, specifically in the jungle. But Fear No Evil, certainly a contender.
And Fear No Evil, I think, as well, has a pretty tough matchup to go in against Burrito. I think the Burrito has certainly made their mark already, and they're probably considered like one of the better end teams in Europe currently. So I am super curious to see how Fear No Evil plans on or intends to adapt their playstyle in order to try and match that a little bit better against Burrito.
Right, Burrito tends to be very aggressive in the jungle, right? How do you think Fear No Evil is going to respond to that is the question that we're going to look throughout the remainder of the day as we watch them play. But let's take a look at how the rest of the day is going to go. Like we said, starting off here in the minor league with Burrito and Fear No Evil. And then later on during the week, we'll see Very Nice to Me take on Pablo. That, of course, is North America. So it should be really interesting watching the different regions in the SMITE minor league.
And the same could be said for Pablo against that Very Nice to Me matchup. Pablo, a team that's yet to find any wins so far, and it's going to be a pretty difficult thing. And speaking of wins, I mean, there's a lot of teams that have already managed to acquire some.
Absolutely. You could look at the top there. Let's look at Europe since that's what we're broadcasting today. Insignum and Optimus Gang have been the squad to beat for a long time. Fear No Evil, they are number 3. And I was talking about how Burrito is a tough matchup for them, and I think that kind of defies what the standings are, because I think Burrito, like I said, in the jungle specifically, these guys have a lot of strengths. So FNE rather, are going to have a tall task despite the fact that they find themselves higher in the standings.
And we saw a good look at the European standings too, because Insignum really leading the charge already, and I think that's kind of to be expected after they were, in fact, the ones that managed to qualify for that Masters Land most recently.
Yeah, with that said, Optimus Gang has been performing lights out. But today's all about Burrito and Fear No Evil. Let's get right into picks and bans and see where these teams are going to put their different pieces together. Burrito on the left side, which means they do have the first pick and the first ban. Coming into this one, I think we've got some standard bans. No, Guan was probably off the table. Other picks have been in and out of the meta, though.
I don't know about that, though, because in the most recent SMITE minor league matchup, I don't recall who it was specifically, but we actually didn't even see any Guan Yu or Xbalanque leaning towards. So it seemed as though healer metas tended to be a little bit more avoided. Won't be the case, though, for Burrito, as they do choose to strip away that Guan Yu. Xbalanque, another pretty heavily contested pick, although not one that's necessarily banned from the start, mostly picked.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that there's a number of, I would say, #1 pickable characters. And so when there's that many, instead of just picking the best, you kind of pick the ones that work best in your team sense. So if you've got a strong hunter, then you'll prioritize the Xbalanque. If you've got a strong mid laner, then maybe you'll look towards the Giannis that's banned so often, right? So different bans coming out there. Fear No Evil opting towards the Athena and the Nemesis, more evergreen characters. And that leaves Burrito to pick Ra. Sure, he's a healer, and that's a really big part of what he does, but I really think that long-range ultimate on such a low cooldown is a big part of why Ra's so popular.
Already digging the response, though, out of Fear No Evil. Picking up the Ratatosker, going to be a nice pick in order to really just smother that Ra, not try and let him free cast by any means. And Xbalanque to pair alongside of it. Fear No Evil still have the opportunity, if they choose as well, to go for that Odin in the third pick selection. Hasn't been a ban that was stripped away, and Burrito, not sure that it's going to be a pick that they really want to go for either.
Well, right here with Ra and Sobek, Odin counters these two picks so incredibly heavily. So I would like to see Burrito kind of opt for the Ring God here. Ratatosker is going to be hard enough to deal with as the Ra. Now with Hachiman locked in here, that leaves the Odin option up to Fear No Evil, because if it doesn't get picked here, it's almost undoubtedly going to be banned by Burrito in round 2.
The way the pairings that could work out, though, between the Darkest Night and then the Ring, it's just so inescapable, it feels. But Fear No Evil are going to opt for that Kakolan instead. All 3 gods from Burrito would have been trapped inside of that Odin cage, but seems as though teams don't necessarily like picking the Odin, despite how strong it might look on paper. It won't necessarily translate to game. You never really know whether the jungle support solo really want to lean towards that Odin selection, and on top of that, then you're focusing your composition mostly around securing damage inside of the cage, because if you're not able to play around your ring entirely, then the execution won't match up. The enemy team's most likely going to be able to out-sustain you anyway, and it can work against you in a sense.
And if you're not confident in your team's ability to win in the early game or the mid game, then Odin does have a tendency to fall off, because he's largely about his base values when it comes to damage. And at the end of the day, Odin just being an ult bot isn't the worst thing on the planet, but I'd sure rather have a Cullen in the late game, I think, than the Odin most of the time. Ymir going to be the guardian of choice for Fear No Evil, and I like this selection. I think this guy brings a lot of burst.
I like it, but I think that there's also some risk versus reward to be involved here. The walls have to be on point. That's the big thing for me, because Ymir has an opportunity still to try and counter a lot of the gods that Burrito are looking for in terms of separating them apart from each other. I think it's going to be huge here with the Ratatoskr already being the pick, and assuming that it's going to be for the jungle, because I don't see why you go for Colin Ymir jungle over the Rat. But it's one of those things where if Ymir can get off a nice wall and cut off all efficient escape routes, then Xbalanque pops at Darkest Night. You don't know which direction the Ratatoskr through the Cosmos is coming at you from, and Kukulkan kind of just there to seal the deal.
I think Kukulkan Ultimate works really well with Darkest of Nights. When you shut the lights off, it's really easy to go ahead and find a target for that one. Kukulkan into the Mercury can be a little bit tough. It's interesting. Mercury's going to blow him up, but if you get the knockup from the Ultimate right and you drop the Tornado, then both of you guys die, kind of, right? So looking at these compositions, I think Fear No Evil certainly looking towards the late game. Burrito, on the other hand, they've got a late game option in Merc, but more mid-game focused. What are you feeling about this one?
I prefer Burrito's draft just a little bit more.
A little bit more well-rounded. We'll see if they can turn that round 0 into a number 1 in game number 1. Let's get to the action.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Taco. Burrito going to be going up against Fear No Evil, and Finch going to be casting here with aggro. And it seems like still Terra not being valued very much, not picked or banned there. What's going on, Ryan?
I don't get it. I really don't. I don't have an answer for you. It blows my mind that Terra goes completely unpicked, unbanned. Clearly the European minor league has a totally different scrim meta than what we've seen from NA or EU in the pro league, NA in the minor league as well. Every other region, every other league seems to think Terra's good. Maybe minor leagues figured her out. I don't know.
Terra is good.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
feel comfortable saying that. But sure, it looks like not being maybe part of the strats that they want to run here. I mean, Fear No Evil kind of going with a bit of a unique comp in a lot of ways. They've got the Kukulkan and the Ymir both selected here, picks we don't see all the time.
No, we don't. I'm excited to see how they do in this situation as well. I think that Kukulkan is probably a little bit better than what people have been giving him credit for. I think he outputs insane damage. Even in the mid-game, he applies Divine Ruin very well. If you want to group up all in one tiny circle to heal up, the Whirlwind will stop you from grouping up very, very quickly. I think that he can be really good in the right situation. And as Taco alluded to, it can be very difficult to see where he's coming from, where the Whirlwinds are, and where that Spirit of the Nine Winds, most importantly, is coming from whenever that Darkest of Nights goes off. So I think that this synergizes pretty well with what Fear No Evil wants to do, which is create chaos in the jungle specifically.
I'm very excited to see how Fear No Evil are going to stack up here up against Burrito. A very strong roster with tons of experience, SPL experience as well. In fact, Badja very recently was up there in the SPL and dropped back down to the minor league for a little while. And trying to just get back into the swing of things. Is going to look for the buff invade. Apparently here is Ephics up against Glory in the jungle.
Surprised that Ephics isn't just teleporting to lane. That's what you do. You try and steal it away, and then you teleport to lane to not miss any minions. Now he decides to go for it. Maybe he was trying to steal away a bit part of that XP camp. Nice reset there by Get Fisher to make sure the blue buff doesn't get stolen. Get Fisher dings level 2, where FX is still pretty far away from that. He's gotten very little experience so far by trying to start on the enemy speed.
I like this with Snotty, trying to keep the wave a little bit healed up inside the actual tornado there from Lucas. We don't get to see Kukulkan as much anymore, but he's very good in lane at farming. He can farm from so far back. He's safe, and that means that now Glory can come in and try and take down Snotty. Has the tornadoes, has the stun, has the first blood. Lucas finds it for Fear No Evil, but now he's got to retreat. Get Fisher's here to try and return the favor.
Ooh, very nice made you look, though. That's not easy to land. Now, will be a 2-for-1 in favor of Fear No Evil, with each member of Fear No Evil getting a kill in the mid and jungle, but Get Fisher, it's very critical that he at least got something back in return. If that's a 2-for-0, then we're talking that Burrito's in some serious trouble already.
Glad they're not playing in bots. That'd be annoying, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I was surprised that Fear No Evil themselves didn't take it, but I wouldn't put it past Get Fisher to select it just because he thinks that would be funny, and I really hope that that's not the play, because
using the Fear No Evil on Fear No Evil, great. What a nightmare.
Miss me with that.
Ephics, as you mentioned earlier, is still a little bit behind in experience. Got to be careful. Meanwhile, Glory has a good chance to collapse here on the backside. Get Fisher, though, catches him with a special delivery, throws him away from Lucas, drops the heal down on top. Snotty can't quite find the damage, but Glory still low. Is going to have to retreat.
but does have some sustain in the kit. Now that he finished off that Acorn, though, will heal when his abilities are landing, as well as just off of the camps with that Assassin's Blessing as well.
Right.
So that poke not incredibly relevant. He's also fairly low on mana as is, so likely will prefer to back right after the speed buff. Maybe go to back left harpies after clearing speed, but should be getting pretty close to the point where it's worthwhile for him to back.
But I love this decision making that junglers have to do. He's gone with the blink as opposed to like beads, and he's up against a composition where I think control is around a lot. I mean, if FX lands a pluck, if Mercury with the ultimate and with the special delivery, Glory's not too worried about it.
No, I think that this can work out for him with the blink. I mean, we saw it pay off for him already in the form of the first blood going Lucas's way. But you're right. I mean, he's got to be concerned about Badge's Cataclysm, and mostly Get Fisher's combo, I think, is the one that he's got to be most worried about, because Sonic Boom into special delivery is not just a guaranteed raw snipe, but it's a guaranteed raw 1 as well. That's an easy 1-4 combo for Snotty in the mid lane, and that will basically do all the damage necessary to kill Glory through the mid game.
That's right. I'm certainly not making a shot call about whether or not it's the right call, just how he's going to have to play. He's going to have to play exactly like this, aggressively. Badger is going to be the target. A great wall comes out from Genetics. That sets up a kill there for Glory as he is able to bring him down. Get Fisher does come in to respond, but doesn't have the ultimate yet, so he won't be able to respond the way that he would have certainly liked to.
And that's how you have to play with Ymir. You were just talking about how you have to play with the blink, but the Ymir is the one who often has to play aggressive in lane, around the jungle, and things like that. And that I love that Glory is putting pressure on that side of the map early on. Get Genetics elite, because how often do we see Ymirs get picked and just look, pretty unexceptional, just get farmed throughout the entire game, and just can't really bring what you need from them. Now, with Genetics having a lead, we could see a phenomenal Ymir performance, which I know you're always looking forward to, Finch.
Any other lane have anything going on? Yeah, let's talk about Snotty. The raw pick coming back to split this back Harpy farm along with Get Fisher. But no, I mean, you're exactly right. They got to try and get Genetics ahead. Amir from ahead, he feels so oppressive, doesn't he?
He does.
Because he has so much base damage he's able to do on all of his abilities except the wall, it feels like. And then he's not as punished for being immobile because he's got the base stats working with him. He can have a little bit more farm. So you're 100% correct. Try and get this Amir ahead to the point where it feels like there's really no answer. And Fear No Evil are off to a good start, 3-1. They already have about a 1,400 gold lead as well, very early on in this game.
And doesn't it feel like this Ymir is going to be the X factor for either side?
Yes.
If Genetics just gets farmed, then Burrito's going to get off to a great lead and probably be too tough to stop. But I'm looking particularly not even just at the freezes or whatever, but the walls that Genetics is going to use to stop that Sonic Boom, the special delivery to wall off Snotty like that.
That does force the beads. The tornado lands anyway, and Lucas gets good damage onto Snotty, and he'll be an easier target now for Get Fisher later on, or rather not for Get Fisher, but for Glory when he wants to come back in and try and land his stun. So an excellent play, and it opens up a potential red buff invade.
Oh, no.
Snotty walled in. The ultimate comes out over the top. Lucas deletes him. That is Kukulkan and Amir. Gods you do not see often working together.
Snotty just has to understand that that's not his area of the jungle anymore. And, and like I was saying, those are the fights that Fear No Evil wants to take with this composition in the jungle. Those are critical to take because Kukulkan loses so much effectiveness when fighting in lane because it's a much wider area. You can easily walk around the whirlwind. You can easily dodge. Spirit of the Nine Winds. That's an ultimate that really excels. Hold that thought as Get Fisher in some trouble, has to use the ultimate defensively and the purification beads. Spirit of the Nine Winds is an ultimate that excels at coming from angles where you can't see the Kukulkan and you can't easily sidestep it because it's very telegraphed. In the jungle, it's much harder. The Ymir walls get much more value in the jungle, and the way that Fear No Evil is playing thus far is showing me that they understand what their composition is meant to do and are going to try and play around it nicely.
And I don't know if it's just that there's someone who always talks about Amir in my life, but I was just thinking about this Amir like on the way into work today and some of the application for Phantom. I mean, is Amir wall good enough to mandate it? It's so often you wall off one person kind of by themselves that if you're the support picking it up, it doesn't feel as good because it's not like Odin Cage where you're all trapped together and you can come get him out. I mean, is Amir wall that good if Amir is ahead where you might have to pick up Phantom?
It's tempting because I think that upgraded Phantom is so good that you don't lose that much by picking it up. And I think that there are instances where that might be correct. And this honestly could be one of them when you have 5 gods that can't get around Ymir wall at all. And sometimes you need to be using it offensively, sometimes defensively. I think that there are instances, and I don't think it would bother me whatsoever if Badja picks up an upgraded Phantom pretty early on once he hits level 12. That being said, usually it isn't that great. if there's like a Ymir and a Thor, I think it's much more tempting. Even if
Right.
there's one other thing that Phantom will help you out against, I think it's often correct in that instance. It's very dependent otherwise.
Freeze comes out to get Fisher. Wall locks him in into the shards of ice. Moex is here along with Lucas, though. Tornado is on him. They don't even need the ult. Moex gets that kill and is able to bring down the enemy jungler. Badger now could potentially be in trouble. Sprint comes out, lands the stun, does Glory right into the ultimate. Double kill for Moex, who's come in to find a couple of last hits. That's not too unfair to say, and find some kills.
Maybe the one of the few instances where the old Xbalanque passive would be benefiting Moex a little bit more than the current one, because he is just getting those last hits and the rest of the team putting out the damage. Moex, a very tenured name in the European Pro League scene. Excited to see him back and playing once again. Has played in the SPL before, has always hovered around this sort of level of play, and excited to see that he's doing pretty well for himself, 2-0-3 thus far. But really, I think the majority of the credit goes to Glory, Lucas, and Genetics. Who, those three have all impressed me so far with the way that they've been playing.
Man, when your jungle, mid, support, comp are clicking, it is so difficult for the opposing team to try and respond, because early on that's what it is. If you're the hunter, if you're the soul laner, those are the names you're seeing flashing up, and you're just kind of hoping they're your color. As he does catch him on the edge of that dash with the Cataclysm, force out beats. Moex forced to kind of just stand in box, and Badger with the Geb shield should be just fine. First kill for Burrito goes to the Geb.
Well, there Moex got to stack up a lot of damage for that passive, but that's Badger making a beautiful play. That just the edge of Cataclysm catches the startup frames of Rising Jaguar. Rising Jaguar does get CC immunity once Xbalanque is in the air, but during that first little dash portion, very susceptible to interruption. Used to be incredibly easy to interrupt during the entirety of it, and that's why the CC immunity was added at its peak, because you could get stuck frozen in midair, your damage didn't go off from it. It was really tough to utilize effectively. So now it gives Xbalanque a little bit of an extra tool against some of the interrupts.
Not the only movement ability in this match that's like that. Geb also doesn't have that CC immunity right away, so Badger could certainly find himself in a reverse of that exact situation. Wall catches off two into the two-man freeze. There's no follow-up this time. Shards of Ice keeps them locked in. Up in the air is Glory, and down on the ground is Glory. Genetics finds a kill, and the ultimate comes through as well from Lucas. Glory finds another kill, but now he's going to get away from this lurking in the waters. Epix punishes the rat handsome.
Genetics in some trouble. Great snipe there, and the sickening strike for Epix notches him a double kill, but now he's put himself in a really bad spot, and that Kukulkan transformation wasn't even necessary at that time, because Moex found yet another kill, this time onto the solo lane. Sobek, red buff invade once again looks like it was not successful this time around for Fear No Evil, but it certainly is successful in just getting some resources out from Burrito, getting some kills in the hands of the important players on their side. They lose a couple. Glory falls for the first time. That is going to set him back a little bit and step up, get Fisher, but Spudio falls. Moex has continued to have a big lead.
Yeah, it could be trouble for Moex here as Get Fisher comes in for the collapse. The knock-up while he's already controlled, and the damage from Spudio just too good. Moex is going to fall over here in the duo lane and help Spudio out a little bit. He needed to try and help catch back up to the level 11 Moex.
Look at the wards on top side there on the left side. 0 of them for Fear No Evil. That's only Burrito, the only one with the top side ward on the duo lane side of the map. And that's why, again, it's twice now where Moex has fallen to that same pathing. He has a ward in inventory now, and I've got a pretty good guess on where it's going.
Snotty in a little bit of trouble here in the mid lane as Glory catches him out with the stun. Snotty holds on to the beads, though. The patience recognized that there wasn't going to be quite enough damage just from the Ratatosker alone, backs up to heal and makes it on out of there. But speaking of Snotty, Flurry Z has already gone into the Cursed Ankh as his first relic selection. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised. I know there is healing that he's worried about, but I mean, how early on is he going to be having that impact?
He's just level 12, so you need to buy it now. You could upgrade it later, and upgrade it is where it really gets that extra bit of effectiveness. Oh, was it? Yeah, I guess it was. You're right, because he goes for Thorns at level 12. Interesting. So just understanding that he probably doesn't need teleport against a Sobek, who's not going to be putting a lot of pressure onto his lane. And if he wants Thorns and he wants Ankh, one of them's got to be a level 1, and neither of them are going to be particularly effective. Ultimate used by both Moex and by Glory. Spirit of the Nine wins as a land, and it still doesn't matter. Get Fisher gets stomped down yet again, and the perfect timing.
Yes.
Once more by Fear No Evil. They are playing the map so well right now.
Yeah, how many times have we seen this combination work out for Fear No Evil, right? Glory following up off of setup from Genetics and Lucas there as well to drop the ultimate. And Burrito has not had an answer to it just yet. What they've done well is try and find farm elsewhere. But if Fear No Evil keep forcing these fights and these engagements in the jungle, Burrito have got to come up with a solution to it because Fear No Evil are playing around it perfectly.
I think next time that happens, though, on which should be the next red buff spawn, I want to see Lucas hold on to Spear of the Nine Winds, because if he has that for secure, you have an opportunity to go for Gold Fury after that and have it be a lot more easy to confirm than what Fear No Evil has to deal with now.
Well, it's just Badger here, so certainly Burrito know this is happening, and they know it's no longer happening as Fear No Evil dropped the Gold Fury with the support there, showing his face. Snotty did still have the ultimate up, and as you point out, Lucas did not have it. So Fear No Evil not trusting, I think they're secure over what Burrito could put out.
Going back to that Cursed Ankh selection from Floors, I think that it makes a lot of sense when you go a little bit more in depth on what Burrito has on their side. Obviously, the raw heal is what everyone thinks of when it comes to this Cursed Ankh.
Right.
But how about the Sickening Strike from Sobek? If he uses that in the middle of a team fight, now he's taking extra damage. If Spadio lifesteals, which he will if he hits an auto attack, now they're taking increased damage. So Cursed Ankh, I think, is the right pickup here for Floors, just because the upgraded version makes it so difficult to stay alive in the middle of these team fights. Sobek is usually that god that can go in and absorb every cooldown and somehow still survive. Maybe not the case when that Cursed Ankh gets upgraded.
Good timing on this Rage transformation as it gets pulled into the tower. Actually returns the favor on to get Fisher with a big chunk of damage. Even drops that Cursed Ankh. He's trying to reduce any kind of healing that might come
Well
out.
timed.
And is able to use the War Cry to not get plucked as well. Well played by Flurry Z to avoid that gank in the solo lane.
Wonder if his relic buttons are a little bit switched up there, because he used the Cursed Ankh where I think he was looking for Thorns. Blink forward from Get Fisher. Knockup is good. Get Fisher very, very low. Nearly ends up falling in response to him being the aggressor. Meanwhile, speaking of aggressing, on the left side, red buff. Slayer went down in favor of Burrito this time.
Yeah, Fear No Evil pulled away from it a little bit, I think because they were thinking of coming to help Flurry Z, and maybe that just wasn't quite enough communication because he was okay in that 2v1, and Fear No Evil could have kept all inning there, but either way, they're now going to turn their attention towards Gold Fury. Lucas has the ultimate available, and Ephics has to use his pluck defensively. Wall comes out from Genetics. Ultimate
Good
comes
shield.
in, but the Geb shield allows Ephics to move away. Great play there from Badger.
I don't mind that ultimate at all, though, by Lucas. That's
Right.
just trust. His ultimate in onto Glory, who has to use beads and his own ult in response. Wonder if he didn't have the dash available to try and get out of danger. So instead decides to use his ultimate defensively, and this is a good start for Burrito. And this is where the sustain comes into play. When you're a little bit behind with a healer, you're not really that behind at all. You're pretty much even, because you can take these little poke trades and end up on top in the health bars.
And Fear No Evil, and I want your thoughts on this, they look for that pick in the jungle instead of going right for that Gold Fury, and that's kind of because they don't find it. Now Burrito's sustained comp is putting them in a better spot. I mean, I know you said you like the idea of following up, but do you like the call at all? As Gold Fury now has been pulled. We'll get back to it later. It's at half health, and then Genetics trying to contest it with the Shards of Ice.
Not Searing Pain fired there by Snotty as well, so there goes your Gold Fury secure on Burrito, and Lucas has his ultimate up soon. Another good Geb shield by Badger onto Ephics, and immediately Moex is in a ton of trouble. He's got a beads and dash away. Glory is looking to chase him down, but Lucas already found Get Fisher with the Whirlwind.
Now Glory has got to retreat on that right-hand side. He is going to be okay. Genetics level 10, standing up against Spadio, and Ephics does have the wall to wall off Spadio. No immediate follow-up. And Ephics actually blinks in, has the pluck on Genetics, pulls him back in. The ultimate comes out from Lucas, finds no one, and Spadio gets the kill.
Glory's still so low on this left side, and he's got no relics up, and Snotty's ultimate not going to come up super soon. It does have 10% CDR from the Mage's Blessing, but went for penetration boots instead of the Shoes of Focus, so no Gold Fury pull because of it. Going back to your question, I don't think I have a problem with trying to find a pick there, because like I said, this composition is so designed on fighting in the jungle that you almost want to take every fight you can get in the jungle. And let's say Lucas does end up flattening Ephics with Spirit of the Nine Winds. Even though you don't have that secure, now it's a 5v4 in your favor, and you don't have to worry about a level 15 Sobek trying to get in there and disrupt. I don't think it was a bad call from Fear No Evil.
It just did not quite go their way because Badgers were making a great plays with these Geb shields all game long, really. And it's because they're so pick-oriented for Fear No Evil, when Badger times the shields this well, it almost certainly means Fear No Evil are now wasting a big-time ability. Either the ultimate from Lucas or the follow-up coming out from Glory. Because of that cleanse and expecting the opponent to be CC a little bit longer, it's been really disruptive for Fear No Evil.
And I like that Badger is electing to level that Stone Shield, and I'll go into why in a moment, because Gold Fury pulled once more by Fear No Evil, but both Snotty and Badger just backed. Lucas is here with Ultimate. He's just got to out-confirm a Heavenly Banner.
That's really all I got to do. Geb Shield, or not the Geb Shield, but the wall comes out. Fear No Evil are indeed able to secure it, as I think the Heavenly Banner might have been a little bit too soon there. Spudio just could not out-confirm, and that helped Fear No Evil even further. A 5,200 gold lead, 6,500 experience lead. Fear No Evil coming out on top, but let's go back to this Geb Shield.
Sure, so most of the time you can level your Geb Shield or your Shockwave. Both of these abilities are very, very good in the early game. Shockwave does a ton of damage, helps with wave clear quite a bit, and Geb Shield, it gets its effectiveness from cleansing CC a lot of the time, so maybe you don't need to level it. And that's the difference, where if you're against a composition where you only need to be using Geb Shield to stop CC, it's often better to put 1 or 2 points into it and then level Shockwave all the way and then finish off your Stone Shield later. But against a composition like this, where damage over time effects are very prevalent, you've got the dot from Moex, you've got the dot from the Whirlwind, from Kukulkan, the actual HP of the Stone Shield is relevant in this spot. So leveling the shield is the right call. You can level Shockwave later and just use it for the damage in the team fights, and less about clearing the wave early on. So I think that Badger went with the right option.
And despite great play from Badger so far, they still find themselves down significantly here to Fear No Evil as we approach, or just past, the 18-minute mark here in this context. A lot of this has been off great synergy from Glory Lucas and Genetics, the Amir, Kukulkan, Ratatosker combination. And during that Gold Fury fight, Glory kind of goes in when there's a lot of chaos. He gets lost a little bit, is able to bring people low enough for Lucas to help finish them off. He's been playing very well in this Ratatosker.
4-1 and 6, man. He's level 18 already. That's incredible. Another objective goes the way of Fear No Evil. And we kind of saw in our Global Series game, right, where a team will get ahead and then they'll worry too much about the kills, won't really farm the map effectively. Glory has been worried about the kills. He's got 10, he's been a part of 10 of the 11 kills for Fear No Evil, but he's still been farming consistently, and that's critical, especially as an earlier game jungler against a late game jungler, as Ratatosker versus Mercury would be in that sort of situation. I think that Glory has looked very solid.
Tier 1 tower falls now in favor of Fear No Evil. They already got the Tier 1 tower in solo and have all theirs still standing, so even the map advantage is going towards Fear No Evil right now to go along with their gold and experience lead. We've seen excellent play from the solo laner for Fear No Evil as well. He's been under siege by Get Fisher and Ethics numerous times and been able to survive without any additional help. That sort of helped create the rest of the room for Fear No Evil, because that's been Burrito's response. Yes, they're aggressing a red buff, but maybe we can go punish Flurry Z. That hasn't been the case.
And hold that thought, Moex uses that Darkness of Nice on the left side of the lane. Moex has that double lifesteal, so he might be able to box into this a little bit. Mounted archery is good, but Aegis was better from Moex, and a good wall from Genetics keeps him alive. That cost Moex a lot, though. I mean, both relics and his ultimate in order to stay alive there, and just responds 2 ultimates.
But they had to do that. Look how far ahead Moex is, level 18. They got to come slow this down some way, as Badger just barely makes it out of there beyond that wall. Up in the air is Glory, though. He certainly wants to try and find a target, and it's going to be Badger Cataclysm to avoid getting knocked up, but the space has been created for the Tier 1 tower.
Snipe, gonna land on a Genetics, but that's not the target that he really wants. Blink forward from Ethics through the purple buff wall, and he'll find the pluck onto the Kukulkan, but that's still Kukulkan. Spear of the 9 wins, does knock up Badger, but not a ton of damage on him.
Lucas drops the Whirlwind. That is going to be ticking on a few members. Flurry Z comes back in, finds the knockup. Now Genetics is the one that gets sniped in. It's been the tanky targets that have been found by the Sobek, but it works out anyways. Spudio has enough damage, and the Amir ends up falling. Ethics, though, is in trouble. He falls in trade. It's a 4v4 now, and Fear No Evil are surging forward.
Flurries is here, and about half HP, and again, the sustain comes into play, because normally I'd say Fear No Evil is in a pretty decent spot because Moex is there and fully healthy. Even if he doesn't have his relics, he might be able to help siege down the tier 1 tower in that spot. But because the rest of Fear No Evil is a little bit low, in particular their only remaining tank is very low, then no one's there to tank it, whereas Burrito, on the other hand, get to use their sustain effectively to make it work.
They're going to grab this Tier 1 tower in duo in response to the aggression from Fear No Evil. It was actually looked like they had created space for the Tier 1 tower, but Burrito commit, especially Ethics over the wall, and they don't lose their tower. They get this one essentially for free after that great play. You see the pings coming out, though. Gold Fury going to be responding in 30 seconds, and it's clear it's going to be a point of contestation for these two teams. They want to be there for that respawn.
Lucas really wants to finish off what should be a Soul Reaver before that fight starts. Could potentially be a Polynomicon, I suppose, but either one of those items is really good on Kukulkan, because Hold that thought. Snotty's in a lot of trouble now.
Wall
perfect and waits out the beads. Now Genetic has the freeze, but a better snipe to give himself CC immunity. Well timed by Snotty. He was toast there. Now both mages have used their big ultimates as Getfisher gets soloed by Glory.
Yeah, Glory went up onto the tree and landed on him.
Man, that's tough because Getfisher didn't even use his beads or his blink, and that means that's a free gold now for Fear No Evil. No contest whatsoever from Burrito.
Fear No Evil have kind of opened this map up now, though, Ryan. An 8,000 gold lead in their favor. And look where they're positioning now. In between the Tier 1 and Tier 2, they're coming down and trying to claim a little bit more map pressure for themselves. More like 8,600 for the gold lead experience, though. It's also getting pretty rough for Burrito trying to deal with it. Now, a lot of Fear No Evil are hitting their level 20 mark, so it's not going to be as bad as it could be. But this has created some space for them to come grab Tier 1 on left. They're trying to pressure the Tier 2 in middle lane. And Glory finding that kill onto Getfisher in the jungle really has made this all possible.
Really has. Now, again, this composition for Fear No Evil is all about fighting in the jungle, and there should be some hope for Burrito still that they can defend effectively, but Spudio's got to use his ultimate. Getfisher went in onto Lucas on the backside. Aegis will buy him a moment, and Getfisher has to dash out, but he dashed through the whirlwind. Heal was good from Snotty just in case.
And Glory just could not find it with the dash. Now he's been pushed back into the tower, and he's very low. Spudio brings him down early. Snipe comes out from Snotty, and now Flare Z is in a whole lot of trouble. He's getting controlled by the mid-mage, and Spudio finds a double kill, taking down the solo laner as well. Burrito defend the Tier 2 and push Fear No Evil back.
Now I wonder what Burrito can get off of this, though, because Tier 2 tower and left seems the most likely. They've already got a wave pushing with them, and this is where that sustain comes into play once more. But is one Tier 2 tower really enough to get Burrito back in this game? It doesn't seem like that'll be enough right now.
Well, maybe if they continue to be this strong in the defense. That's twice now Fear No Evil have tried to force down these towers, and they haven't been able to. Burrito, as you mentioned, are so much better at these 5-on-5 set fights as opposed to those sporadic ones in the jungle where Genetics can cut you off at the wall and Lucas can blow you up with the ultimate. If Burrito can kind of hang in there and keep trying to force these sieges, maybe they really do have a shot.
That's definitely the call. Fight in the jungle as little as possible. Spend the rest of the time. Looks like Lucas was looking at tab or something because he didn't see Snotty walking right by him there and kind of panicked as soon as he heard that raw ability go off. We've all had that happen to us. That happens to me pretty consistently. But Burrito should definitely try and take their fights in lane. Problem is, Fear No Evil is just going to force him into jungle or get a free Fire Giant for it. So Burrito's got to figure out a way to make these fights work better in the jungle and not just in lane.
Fear No Evil are positioned around the Fire Giant. They don't have Glory just yet. Flare Z is making his way over. Glory can, of course, use the ultimate, but it doesn't quite cover that much distance. All the way over to the Fire Giant is still a long trek. So if they want to force it, they'll probably have to wait until he gets a little bit closer. But Burrito have given up a lot of positioning here. They've backed up. Getfisher is charging up the ultimate. Vision control in Fear No Evil's favor. And Burrito now with FX are going to come in and try and stop him from taking this Pyro.
Genetics walls off one way, freezes the other, but FX can easily create space with that tail whip. As a little bit of damage under Genetics. Getfisher has finished off that Death Bringer, so everyone between Moex, Glory, and Lucas needs to be on high alert for where that Mercury is.
They're going to drop the Darkest of Nights. Pyromancer's low, but now they're looking for the fight instead. Glory's at the furthest one forward. Epic's knocked up. Spirit of the Nine Wind's going to come through as well, but Epic's still alive, and now Badja hits a big Cataclysm through the middle of the fight. Finally, Glory joins the fray, knocks up Getfisher, but it's Fear No Evil who are low. Wall off to set up the escape for the rest of Fear No Evil as Badja continues to push forward. Epic's blinks, looks to the full, but Warcry is good. And now the Sobek gets punished and deleted. Moex takes him down.
Man, if Burrito just reset there, use their heals and go for fire, they're in a much better spot. FX gets a bit too greedy, and that's twice now that Flare Z has used that Warcry at the perfect moment to immune a Sobek pluck. It does give Burrito the Pyromancer, but again, is that enough to put them into the game at this point? Fear No Evil still in control, but we're starting to see the workings of how Burrito can take these team fights, but that's really on Fear No Evil's shoulders that they lost it, in my mind, because they overcommitted onto a Sobek. One day, teams will learn that solo Sobek is never the guy you want to commit to off the front.
And it still felt to me they were a little bit impatient as the fight starts up again with Badja here along with Snotty. Freeze lands, Wall cuts him off, nowhere for the rocket to go. Glory gets the last hit and brings him down. Fear No Evil now have 15 kills to their name. They want to come back towards this Fire Giant yet again. Snotty going to heal up. Spudio's here as well. FX has respawned. Doesn't have teleport though, so it'll be a long walk for the Croc back to the fight.
Everyone is fairly healthy besides Genetics on the side of Fear No Evil, but low on mana for a couple members, Moex and Genetics in particular. Fire Giant started once more. Snotty has no Aegis, does have his beads, but it walks right where
Perfect.
Genetics wants him.
I love it, though. He used the beads a little bit too early. Genetics waits it out, and Lucas able to knock him up. Now Glory lands in, knocks up FX, who only just respawned is going to be sent back to base the hard way. Double kill for the mid lane Kukulkan, and there's not, or Kukulkan rather, not really any kind of way for this Mercury to kind of come in and join out. Get Fisher has to take the tier 1 tower while Fear No Evil earn themselves a Fire Giant.
Man, this Ymir has done so much, hasn't it? These walls in the jungle have been absolutely exceptional thus far. He's been really setting up so much for Fear No Evil.
Get Fisher, though, doing what he can in the mid lane. Get to the tier 1 tower and the tier 2 tower in response to that Fire Giant going down. Now, though, he has to try and find an escape path as Glory is on his way to try and cut him off. Does have Badge in the jungle, but Badge is not coming to his assistance. Get Fisher has the ultimate available, though, so he should be okay if push comes to shove. Stun does not land. He's going to hold on to it and just dash away. There he's charging the ultimate, so he'll be fine.
Blink for nothing, not so bad for Get Fisher, though Glory has a way to initiate without that blink, of course, with through the Cosmos, and Fear No Evil will likely take it a bit slow now as they get Gold Fury and should just clean up these weakened tier 2 towers very, very quickly, as Lucas, in fact, won't even stick around for a tier 2 tower siege for the moment because he has enough to finish off his Rod of Tahuti. That is a damage build for a Kukulkan that is very, very difficult to handle. Not only just because of the damage, but the survivability that the Warlock staff gives him. If you're it seems a little bit weird to go Obsidian Shard on Kukulkan sometimes because of how well Spear of the Magus interacts with the ticks of Whirlwind. But when you're only going one pen item, Obsidian Shard is the way to go. And now you're using the Rod of Tahuti as almost pseudo-pen against tanks because that passive will help you out in that regard anyways. So now maybe the full commit onto FX won't be as horrible. I still think that's not the right call, but Whirlwind into Spear of the Nine Winds on a half-health Sobek would probably be enough to kill him.
Well, tier 2 tower and solo is going to be the call. On his way here is Genetics, and they're going to need him. This Amir's been a great asset for Fear No Evil so far. In fact, he's found FX in the jungle, trying to wall him off now.
Look at that.
Tornado being dropped down. He gets deleted. Glory finds the last shot. They can turn back towards the tier 2 with Flare Z to tank it up. And Burrito has to retreat. In fact, Glory finds the knock-up on the 2 members, gets the Aegis out from Snotty, and they're going to continue their surge.
Oh, blink forward by Genetics. Another perfect wall. Snotty has already used the Aegis, and that Whirlwind Rod of Tahuti combines with Glory to bring him down.
Get Fisher in trouble, does have the ultimate, but just sends him right towards Lucas, who deletes him in the lane. Badger has to fall back, has the shield there to keep himself alive, but Fear No Evil are going to take down the Phoenix on the right-hand side. 5 members strong, only the duo lane left from Burrito to defend, and Fear No Evil look like they're ready to go make the push. Blink comes in, Cataclysm hits a bunch of members, but Spudio's being controlled by Glory on the backhand side. Fear No Evil take game 1 here over Burrito.
Impressive play. I mean, this is a team with a lot of experience for Burrito. Get Fisher, Badger, these are guys who have been around the scene for a long, long time, and Fear No Evil just kind of took them to school on how to play against a jungle fight composition. I mean, Genetics was phenomenal on that Ymir. So good on that pick. Lucas on the Kukulkan was great. Everyone, I think, had a solid performance for Fear No Evil. And this is the first time we've gotten a chance to see this team in this summer split. And I'm excited about them because that is a composition that not a lot of teams are running right now, that clearly they have practiced and they understand how to utilize it. And I'm excited to see what they have in store for us in game 2.
And it's got to be a little bit frustrating for Burrito because they had some fights that looked like they were their fights in the jungle around that Fire Giant, and they didn't capitalize on them correctly. And that's not one that I think you paper over with a better picks and bans phase. They got to be better shot calling in those big moments and knowing when it is when the right target to go in, when the right time to start those fights, because that part did not look clean.
The big one for me is FX continuing that fight after Burrito finally battled back. He blinks forward, gets his Pluck CC
They just
immune.
come right back and get FG there. I agree.
That is your best opportunity to come back in that game if you're on Burrito, in my mind.
Well, instead, they end up paying for it. That first game does end up going to Fear No Evil. We actually have the Death standing by. We'll let Tom and Taco break it down.
Thank you, Finch. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Fear No Evil, for playing that Kukulkan. Real talk, though, we were sitting here talking about Odin, and I think the Ymir was the best pick possible.
Outside of the Odin, yeah, I think that the Ymir couldn't have done a better job. A lot of those walls just managing to cut off so many efficient routes that would have otherwise led to deaths not actually happening, picks not being able to be secured. I think that was fantastic. And I think Fitch hit the nail on the head, too, with that Fire Giant call towards the end there. It would have been another way for them to possibly bring this game back under control, but Burrito, as back and forth as it was the whole time, Fear No Evil just managing to close it out.
Yeah, it was the decision making for me that really took Burrito out of the game, because Fear No Evil was just playing lights out, and the draft was fine. Burrito, we all sat here and said, we think they have a better draft actually, but at the end of the day, the talent superseded.
And for what it's worth, I am actually really glad that it was the Cullen who picked up the Cursed Ankh alongside of the Thorns, because it was a bit of the double whammy. You want to try and all in on the Cullen, but whenever he pops the Thorns, you can't really effectively control him any longer. You don't want to force your carries to try and deal damage to a target that's just going to be reflecting all of it. And the Cursed Ankh to spam spread it. That way you leave your Ymir open to pick up a blink for the initiation factor. I love seeing the blink Ymir. I think that it's a bit of a underused token for a lot of supports, and seeing it work out so fantastically was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the Blink Ymir was fantastic. I think the Ymir was the greatest setup for this guy right here. The Kugel Khan genetics is going to be your MVP. And what comes down to it was really, it's one of the longer CCs in the game, the freeze, and then even right there, using the ultimate for the slow.
The slow was super effective, too, because it's not something you necessarily think of very often against the Ymir. Everybody wants to get out of the circle because you just don't want to take the damage, but you kind of forget that the slow is still proccing the whole way through as long as you're standing inside of it, and that was just another primary example of how well these walls ended up cutting off everybody from Burrito. Whenever they were looking for their escape, they just weren't able to get out.
Yeah, real clean stuff. Always like to see the support get the MVP. That's one of my favorite things. And that first replay showing the setup, I mean, that's the beauty part of it, right? That's really what it's all about. Also, the Ymir, special shout out to how one of the few characters that can control the Hachiman. Right?
Normally, when we've seen a little bit of Ymir play spark up recently, but typically in the other direction, it has not fared very well for a lot of the other Emirs that we've debuted. But I'm happy to see it work out for once for a team, and especially for the likes of Fear No Evil. I mean, everybody's so familiar with Burrito, or at least those members, since they've been a part of the community for some time. But Fear No Evil just having all the right responses.
Yeah, really rough for Burrito across the way. We'll see if they can fix it. In game number 2, let's head right into it. This is the SMITE Minor League, European style. Burrito going to opt for the first pick this time around. Fear No Evil obviously won the game, so Burrito gets their choice. As far as the bans are concerned, interested to see where they go. We saw the Guan ban first and foremost last time around. I expect to see that one more time. And the Athena, I think, is really important. If Fear No Evil is going to play the Ymir and have the setup with Kugel Khan, I don't think you want to see what happens when they get an Athena.
I don't either. I mean, the spam is just unavoidable at times, it feels, especially when you have that Blink Relic. And I think for a while, too, we haven't really seen all that much of Blink Athena.
Not too much.
I do feel as though that might start getting a little bit of a resurgence, though, considering everybody wants to play Athena right now.
Blink Athena is interesting because I think Blink Athena is really valuable at the super high end of competition where everybody's ready. In your ranked games, Dash Athena is good enough. And I think minor league, depending on the team, is really where the Blink and the Dash sort of like balance out.
See, I'm laughing only because I wish my Athenas would taunt, like dash less in ranked. I wish they would just taunt.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people think you have to dash, drop your barrier of soldiers first, and then taunt. And they're like, but it's the combination. I'm like, no, I just want the taunt, man. Please.
Well, Fear No Evil are going to get the taunt right there. I mean, this is what we were talking about. If you can land the Kugel Khan ult off of a Ymir slow, you can certainly land the Ra ult off of the Athena taunt. This is a scary combination. Genetics won MVP for his performance, setting up his mid laner, and now he's going to play, assumably, unless it goes somewhere else, but I'm assuming we're going to see the Athena in the support role. They already did this one. Achilles and Ymir on the other side for Burrito.
And Burrito trying to take a page out of Fear No Evil's book, it feels. And Serket as another third pick combination. I like that they're effectively taking the anti-heal for themselves on top of still being able to provide a lot of team sustain and mobility. Ra, not necessarily the most mobile god, but he's got that passive. You have the Athena to help him out, Defender of Olympus. I just love everything that Fear No Evil has going for them.
Yeah. I also like how the Circuit specifically preys on the Ymir. It's almost as if Fear No Evil said, hey, look, we're going to put Ymir on display. Burrito goes, oh, wow, we forgot how good Ymir can be. We're going to pick him. And then right across the way, Fear No Evil goes for a pick that not only can really, really get away from Ymir, but also can punish him for being largely immobile. Love the choices. Fear No Evil banning out 2 mid laners, the Poseidon and the Discordia, whereas Burrito looking more towards the Hunter role, saying no to Artemis, and then following it up with an Uller ban as well.
Uller ban here feels a little bit more towards specifics. That's a shot at a player's god pool.
Yeah.
Or I think more of a comfort pick. And I can understand that too because Uller Athena combination, a lot of heavy lane pressure. You don't necessarily want to have to deal with that. Cerber is being secured here, also further prompting me to believe that this is going to be Athena in the support role for Fear No Evil. Cerberus tends to fare just a little bit better, I think, in that solo lane role. And I'm going to have to assume he's going against the Sobek, too.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Ymir and Sobek, both strong solo laners in their own right, depending on what you're looking for. Ymir in the short lane, given a little bit of a void zone, can be a really, really tough warrior to deal with. I know I said warrior. And Soul is going to be our mid laner of choice. This character was very popular, completely disappeared, and now she's coming back in spurts.
Speaking of which, a little bit of Medusa coming through, too. I think that this is also another just one of those picks where you don't always expect it to happen, but she comes and goes, and whenever she is popping, though, that's the way to look out for it. And I think having the Athena, Raw, Medusa, this is just one of those classic trios that I feel is almost a Joust composition in a way. I think that a lot of team setup is certainly going to be a factor here for Fear No Evil, and I'm curious how Burrito plans on responding to it, because as far as hard CC is concerned, you're mostly banking off of the Ymir for that.
Yeah, Fear No Evil really looking to initiate a lot of the fights, I think. Athena taunt into, well, everything. And then Burrito across the way. There's really no synergy. That doesn't necessarily mean it's poor, because they've got a lot of power in the Shibalanke and some of the picks there.
I wish it wasn't a soul. I think that's a better way to put it. I wish that they had just like an all-in burst mage. I think it would have fared a little bit better with their comp, because the soul, to me, it takes some warm-up time.
Will they be able to take the win is the question.
I think Fear No Evil's got it.
Well, game number 1, the Burrito was a little bit cold. Hoping to pipe things up here in game 2. Let's see if they got what it takes.
It's going to stay cold now. They got that Ymir on their side, Tom. I don't know.
No, they have the Soul to heat it to counteract
but
that.
Ymir is going to freeze it again.
But then Soul will heat it up again.
But then Ymir will freeze it. You want to keep this going forever?
I'm down.
I mean, it sounds like we could, but yeah.
Us 20 minutes from now, but then the Soul will heat it up again.
Right, but then Ymir is just going to... We all know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Fear No Evil, though. Looks like the Ymir really is being highly prioritized between both squads. Fear No Evil had a game 1, now it's Burrito. So, I mean, it's definitely, and the Soul being prioritized.
Yes.
Definitely different priorities here in the EU minor league.
It makes me nervous, though, for Burrito, because I feel like this is one of those instances where they say, hey, this Ymir was really good, let's take it, and they don't understand why it was good. You know what I mean? Like, now you've got a Circuit and a Cerberus who don't really care that much about Ymir wall. You've got Badja on a character that can be punished very easily, and Badja has had problems recently with his positioning in times in these team fights, as FX once more is attempting to cheese down this speed buff. It didn't work for him last game. Maybe it'll work for him this game.
And Taco
That's
talked
a Glory.
about,
look out for him.
Yeah, Glory is on the lookout. He's going to come on the top side. And Snotty is on the Soul going to be able to follow up, but not the way that Kukulkan can, I feel like, right? With that one big all-in ultimate. As FX is here indeed trying to steal this. Looks like Glory still doesn't recognize that this is what's happening. FX comes in for it and looks like
that time.
He was indeed able to steal it. FX now just going to teleport back to lane and laugh.
FX is kind of a meanie, don't you think?
Apparently.
That's just a mean thing to do.
Glory was doing it alone. Did he ever get the shot in from like Lucas to help out, or did Glory do the speed alone there?
No, Glory did the speed alone in game 1 and in game 2.
Yeah.
Sprint was used there by Badja, but didn't hit Spudio with the sprint. He only sprinted himself as he was trying to go aggressive on a Moax. Genetics was
Who
nice
needs
and patient.
Not Badja. He's on a Mir.
Well, I think that means he does need it. Don't you?
I mean, I
Finch,
think that, but apparently
why would you
not.
say that? It's clearly important to him to have a sprint.
No, I mean, who needs to sprint his partner? Right.
Oh, clearly Spudio needs that sprint. Finch, come on, pay attention.
What?
Wake up.
What?
Spudio needed the sprint if he wanted to close the gap and find the auto attacks necessary to bring down the Medusa's health bar to 0 and find the kill in first bloodbound.
Badger didn't need it. He's fine. He went in by himself. Carpet is going to land on the wave, though, to try and help get a little bit more clear. Not quite able to take down Genetics and Moex here this time, but we'll see if Badja can make this a mirror work for him the same way that Genetics was able to last game.
What is that? Look at Lucas's start. Boots 1 and Warlocks 1?
Yeah.
I hate it. Oh God, do I hate this so much.
Go ahead and tell me why, Ryan, and I'll I'll see you all a minute and a half from now, 90 seconds.
Sit down, buckle up, chat, because I'm about to go off. I mean, look, you have no mana regen in this build whatsoever. 500 gold for 6% movement speed. That dude just spent, what, 1,150 gold for 6% movement speed, 15 magical power, and 75 health. That might be the worst deal in the history of ever. Like, that is a horrible investment where he's getting no mana regen. He's going to have to back to base real soon. He's already down very low on the mana pool. Why not just go Mage's Blessing into Warlocks 1? What's wrong with Mage's Blessing there? You get 3 potions. You can buy 2 mana pots, 1 health potion. You get some mana regen. You get some guaranteed cooldown later on. This doesn't accelerate anything. Bad.
Mage's Blessing is good. I'm with you on that one, Ryan. Now, if he wants to try and get Boots going as soon as possible, you know, then he's already invested in some, that first like 500 to the Boots 1. When he backs, he can finish him off, and it looks like that is the plan. He has the Shoes of Focus already. So if he wanted those Boots as soon as possible, that's the start to get you Boots as soon as possible.
Couldn't you just go Mage's Blessing in Boots 1? And then be able to back and still have the Mage's Blessing effectiveness, be able to clear the wave a little bit better? Slows down your Warlock staff a tiny bit,
it does,
but honestly,
yes.
But I don't think it's enough to. You're missing time on the map with this build because. And here's the thing: now everyone will say, "Oh, he's got his boots, so he's good." You still have no mana regen in your entire kit. Look, he just got back, and he's half mana. He's got to go back really soon. Raw has high mana costs. You're spending time off the map by going back to base as often as Lucas is going to need to. He did it without Mage's Blessing in game 1 on the Kukulkan because he started with Book of Thoth 2, he started with the Soul Trap, finished the Book of Thoth very early, and Kukulkan can get away with only using 1 skill to clear the wave very early on. As Raw, you need to be using 2 skills, sometimes 3 on camps if you want to keep up in clear speed, and that's just going to drain your mana pool far too quickly.
Lucas already is low on mana here in the mid lane. We'll see what it is that he plans to do with this build. Recognize that he's not going to have a whole lot of time with the mana. Now, he has been following Glory around a lot. They have been farming efficiently. He doesn't appear to really be that far behind. Well, really, he's about, what, 70 XP per minute behind what Snotty's been able to do. So Snotty has been farming a little more efficiently, at least XP-wise, and has already ticked over level 6 for it. So perhaps that's where that punishment's coming from.
Just Snotty has split very little so far, and that's put Get Fisher in a slightly better spot in the XP per minute department as well as Snotty. So that's the difference. Sometimes gold doesn't end up mattering that much when you're splitting, but XP certainly can. And sometimes it's the other way around if you're splitting in odd spots at times as well.
Now this is the time, as Lucas has just used the last of his mana, where we see what it is that he plans to do here with the start, because Snotty used it to go back and grab those back harpies, and he can come back in. He can use autos to clear relatively well. Has the Hunter's Blessing to try and help get some mana return. So Lucas is having to back while Snotty's able to just come in and help clear this wave.
Now Snotty, I mean, he'll be able to get Boots finished off as Badja getting bullied early, and this is how you play around the Ymir. And that's what I think Fear No Evil was kind of not that upset to see Burrito lock it in. Just immediately come and punish it in the early game. An easy first blood for Fear No Evil onto that Ymir.
That's what Athena can do for you as well with that global presence to come in and help out with Glory as well. They committed a lot, it looks like, to make sure they were able to get that kill into the Ymir, but why not? I mean, what else is going to be done here at the 5.5 minute mark? They've been able to get the kill. They're trying to slow down Badja. Yes, it means that, you know, Glory, Genetics, and Moex don't have those ultimates available, but what's the punish for it?
Not a whole lot. I mean, maybe it stops you from invading red buff, but it doesn't look like that was part of the plan anyways. It's really a very worthwhile investment to use that much to find that first blood. And instead of Boots, Snotty goes for the Bancroft's Talon to try and just use his power in the mid lane. He wants to let the fight come to him, not necessarily try and rotate around and impact the map in other places. And with a character like Achilles who can take the fight anywhere on the map, including the mid lane, I don't hate that call from Snotty. But if I'm Fear No Evil now, I mean, Lucas should use the small amount of time he's able to stay on the map with his low mana pool to go around the map and make it happen elsewhere, because now you want to move away from Snotty because it'll take so long for him to match that rotation speed.
Oracles and the vision they provide do go the way of Fear No Evil there, though, with the rotation over from Moex. Trying to help make sure they get that cleared. Lucas is, though, clearing this wave alone because on the other side, Glory is trying to loop in on the backside and could be trouble for Snotty. He ambushes in. Cobra's Kiss into the Death Bane. Snotty already very low. Last breath while he is inside that Disapparate form. And Snotty able to survive that gank in mid.
Snotty A-okay. Get Fisher gonna go in now. Has that fatal strike, but Lucas body blocks it nicely. Get Fisher in a ton of trouble. Lucas still has that snipe available and won't hit anyone, whereas Snotty steps up and makes Glory pay. Meanwhile, on the left, Badja fell once more to an Athena taunt Petrify combo, one that has been working for Medusa and Athena since Medusa's release. But where's the ultimate from Lucas in response to the taunt in? I think he was assuming the beads would come out from Snotty, and sometimes the objectively worst play, taking all that damage guaranteed off the Circuit Madness, ends up being the better one because Snotty survived and got away with his purification beads still up.
Now Lucas is getting his red buff again, low on mana. Is going to have to back here shortly.
Shocker.
Snotty is going to head back in. So they have not really tried to put pressure on this red buff invade, and that's kind of where I thought if there was going to be a punish for the low mana, where that might be able to come in because it is a little bit harder for him to be able to continually secure. But
look at him go.
Autoing those minions there underneath the tier 1
tower.
What
the beast. He's just autoing them down. He's getting 2 mana a second. My goodness. He's going to have enough to clear the wave pretty soon here, Finch. Here we go.
It does have Glory rotating in, though, to try and help out. Snotty actually drops the ultimate to get the clear. Now he can back freely. But Snotty did a great job surviving that gank in the mid lane. That's what cleared up that 2v2 for Fear No Evil without having to worry about there being any response happening in their lane. Moex, though, drops the ultimate in response to the Darkest of Nights coming out. Now Glory's here to try and help this out. Shard Device means that Badge won't get controlled, and Glory has to retreat. Purple Buff Invade can resume yet again.
That blink in from Glory actually was very critical just for the body blocks to let Moex get out of there. That was a good engagement from Badger and the rest of Burrito, and that's how Fear No Evil was using this Ymir in the early game. Finding fights in the jungle around the side where that Ymir will be.
Genetics, though, drop down the altar. They recognize Glory might have a chance here to go aggressive onto Badger. Spudio's here to try and return the damage, but it's not going to be enough. Glory brings him down. Now can Genetics find his way back out? He's already dashed, and Get Fisher is going to be able to close the gap and has plenty of damage on this Achilles. But how much can he commit with Moex right here in the jungle?
Man, if Moex lands that Lacerate, that might be a kill on the Get Fisher. Snotty made the rotation. Now that he has his boots, can actually match rotations pretty easily and was able to actually beat Lucas to that left-hand side. Did cost him a mid-wave, but made sure that everyone from Burrito was safe and sound, so probably worth his time overall. I love the way that Glory's been playing this set, though. I mean, that is a lot of confidence, knowing he has no purification beads, committing onto a Ymir. Surprised at Get Fisher. I mean, Glory was on a ward, sitting around the bottom side of that Gold Fury. Instead of Get Fisher coming and kind of expecting that damage onto Badge and expecting that gank to happen, he clears purple buff. Instead, if Get Fisher just kind of lurks around that wall instead of being on the buff, just waits for that engagement to happen, no way Glory gets out of there because Glory barely did as it was because of Badge's damage alone.
Oh, take a look here. Get Fisher at least itemizing into the brawlers, at least itemizing towards the other teams. Even if the rotations or the call there wasn't there, at least he is trying to slow down what Lucas is going to be doing on this Raw in the mid lane, trying to slow down any healing that'll be there for Moex, just from any lifesteal that he might try and build into. So already trying to make it a little bit easier for his team to bring down this Raw in the mid lane, and any other sustained Fear No Evil might itemize into.
No, that's the right call. I say it a lot when it comes to anti-heal. By the time you need it, it's too late. You need to get it early before you even feel like you need it.
Taunt comes out to Get Fisher. Glory's right here to follow up with the Cobra's Kiss into the last breath.
Dead.
I don't see a way out for Get Fisher. Moex, though, needs a little bit of help, and there will be none. Spudio brings him down, so 1-for-1 Hunter for Jungler, but Glory is not done yet. Spudio going to be the target. Deathbane, Defender of Olympus, just too good, and they're able to bring down the Hunter.
Ooh, blink forward, though. Glory still had that madness available. Taunt, no, but snipe off the mark from Lucas. It's actually the sprint from Badja that saved him there. Genetics in some trouble, is trying to weave in and out of that supernova, but Snotty can't quite find the damage as Lucas still pushing forward alongside Glory. Snotty's Disapparate will save him, and then has Stellar Burst. That's not the fight you want to take. But Badja moved more than he was supposed to in that spot, partially because Genetics moves a little bit after using the taunt, which is a big no-no, but Badge's sprint meant that he covered more ground than Lucas was ready for him to cover. So still should have hit it, not making excuses for him. When you get a taunt, you need to be hitting Searing Pain off that 10 out of 10 times, but there at least was a little bit trickier than it seemed on paper.
But Glory, though, has been playing light out for Fear No Evil. I mean, going in aggressive, setting up for the squad. It is frustrating, a little bit heartbreaking, really, when you go in and get that great setup on a badge after already being the reason you got the first kill, and then the Searing Pain just does not land. But Fear No Evil, they don't just have a kill lead here. They are up 3 kills. They are leading in gold as well, about 1,600 or so, or about 1,500 right around that mark. Experience, about 1,700 too, so it's 12 minutes in. That's not the biggest lead in the world, but these kills are netting them some buff invades, some wave advantages. They got to start turning that into some objectives here soon.
Gold Fury, obviously the one that Fear No Evil will likely look at first. And looks like Glory's going for a bit of tankiness now, starting with Hide of the Urchin 2 right after that Jotun's Wrath. A little bit surprised with the lead that he has. It's not huge, but it's enough. I think usually you can go for another damage item and then a tank item in that 4th slot, but Glory going to rely on that true damage, the prot shred, and the percentage damage available to him as part of Serket's kit to try and make things happen and stay alive at the same time.
And trusting, Moex and Lucas to be there with that follow-up. Even if Glory doesn't do all the damage himself, Serket's a ton of setup with the Cobra's Kiss in the last breath. So if he does 60% instead of 80%, and Lucas and Moex are right there, then they should be able to clean that up no problem.
Moex has struggled a little bit since the great start in this duo lane because the focus from Burrito has been there. He's got to be cognizant of that and kind of play around it a little bit. Medusa, pretty easy to play aggressive into as long as you get someone on the other side of her. Lacerate feels pretty difficult to get around people with that dash, so I think that Badja has been utilizing his big hitbox nicely to kind of punish that pick.
Gold Fury already down to about half health here, and it's Burrito actually were the ones pulling it. FX and Badja on zoning duty. Genetics already made their way in. Supernova committed, even though the Gold Fury was leased, but Genetics dies either way. Get Fisher is the one that finds that kill. No Gold Fury, though, as Burrito are on the retreat after expending 3 ults.
Oh, Glory going to find the blink forward. Deathbane's kind of in place there, allowing Flores to come up and find the final hits onto Badja. And now Fear No Evil can use that sustain that Burrito had in the last game to their own advantage.
That's frustrating. Get Fisher was kind of like just behind that rock and was able to back in the midst of everyone. So he went back to base, healed. He's going to go grab his speed buff, the most important objective on the map. Meanwhile, FX is in trouble. Stygian Torment into the beam, into Moex. And they are able to bring down the solo laner. They already took down Badja, who's just about to respawn. So Gold Fury on the minds of Fear No Evil. It's going to be Glora trying to zone out Snotty and Spudio, but keep an eye on Get Fisher, who's on the backside where that tier 1 tower is.
Doesn't look like he's too interested in coming to defend this. Snotty uses both relics to get himself out of that danger, and Gold Fury does go down in favor of Fear No Evil. Get Fisher gets a tier 1 for it. Probably wasn't going to be able to steal that away, so decides to play it rather safe than sorry in that spot. But FX, again, just baits his team or himself into bad spots with that pluck. It's starting to become a trend now out of that solo lane.
He's not quite able to lock down Get Fisher on the Achilles, who can be a little slippery sometimes. Gold Fury goes their way. They come back now towards Pyromancer. They should be able to grab this one. They didn't burn through that Gold Fury tremendously fast. It's just that they had such tremendous map control, they were able to get it. Pyromancer does end up falling. Spudio now in a little bit of trouble against Moex in the 1v1. Misses a couple autos here. Spudio doesn't have much mana, but has enough for the Rising Jaguar and does dash back towards Badja. Not to the tower, towards his teammate.
Oh, Moex. We knew ye well. That was the opportunity for a solo kill on a Spudio, and I've got no problem with Moex being aggressive in that spot, understanding that the X-Ball has very little mana, but maybe not familiar with the Rising Jaguar mana cost and how it's not that high at this point in the game. Means that Moex thought he had more time than he actually did to track him down with those auto attacks.
Tier 1 tower being chunked by Snotty here on the Soul. Only Lucas and Genetics here to defend, and it's not enough. Burrito are able to grab that tower for themselves, try and help get a little bit more gold back to the pockets, but correct there, Moex goes in aggressive and is not able to find that solo kill. Even goes into the Crusher, so still no life still in the build for the Medusa. He's just worried about getting that damage and that nice passer that comes on the Crusher as well.
I think it makes some sense, though, to not go for lifesteal when you have a Raw on your team. Sure. A lot of the time, hunters are lifestealing in between fights, going to camps, using a minion wave to top themselves off in between little skirmishes on sieges and things like that. Raw does that for you, so instead you could itemize into pure damage. Might be an Aussie in the next item slot. Is
possible, yeah.
Going towards a light blade, but Could also easily be an Executioner or a Chinsai, so Moex has some options.
Yeah, if he wants to just forgo it entirely and rely on that heal from Lucas, he has a chance to do it and hit a power spike a little bit sooner, because normally if you do build Aussie in that slot, it's not the best, as a two-man taunt is landed from Genetics, and the shot comes out from Lucas, brings Snotty very, very low. He's in that to separate, but right there waiting is Glory. Actually loses track of him, so Snotty's still alive, and gets the Supernova off.
Why did he come back? He was out, he was gone, and then he decides to come back. That beam from Lucas catches Get Fisher in the Fatal Strike, and that allows that last tick of Last Breath to finish him off. Moex finds FX, nice freeze, but Moex still going aggressively underneath that tier 2.
Badja just barely makes it out, but are we going to be able to say the same for Spudio? It looks like no. Fleurzy wants to see if he can try and track Badja down. Instead, they're going to settle for the tier 2 tower. Got to be a bit of mild frustration, though. How do we make it to the end of the fight? And I hit a 3-man freeze, and everyone still has their beads available. How can that be happening? But in the end, they're going to lose. It looks like a Phoenix off this. Only the Amir is up to defend.
Wow, brutal. Snotty just didn't have to die in that spot, man. Just doesn't need to. As Badja's still here, and Wall will force Moex to reposition a little bit, but it won't force them off the Phoenix, though someone needed to finish it. It's still up.
They haven't. They got to get this
What
last
a
shot.
disaster.
Body blocks coming out from Badja as well as from Snotty. So that means the overcommit had to come in from Genetics, who's now going to get hunted down. What should have been a clean Phoenix is going to result very likely in the death of this Athena. The rest of Fear No Evil, though, are able to make their escape, and Genetics is certainly dead to right tier. Dashes out, but right towards FX.
That's
It's felt like who makes the
yikes.
least mistakes here so far, Ryan. And I felt that way in Game 1. It hasn't been tremendously clean from either team here so far. I mean, yes, Snotty goes back in, but Snotty shouldn't even have been able to make the choice to go back in. He should have died, and is able to juke it out and get away from Glory at the Defender of Olympus. Deathbane into the tier 2 tower away. So it's been, you know, sort of who's making the least mistakes here so far.
Well, now it's Burrito who have the momentum a little bit, if you will, and they can get some even more if Glory gets caught here. He's getting surrounded. Pluck is available for FX and will land, but Glory still at his beads. He's going to start going aggressive. He turns around onto Snotty, who takes a lot of damage from Last Breath, and Defender of Olympus, and Lucas will finish what the rest of his team started.
Snotty has already fallen, Badge has fallen, and somehow Glory still standing. Remember, he did go into that defensive option, the third item choice, so it's worked out huge for him. Get Fisher now in trouble, and Fleurzy wants to try and find this kill on his own. Meanwhile, Glory stuck around. FX has been baited into this, and he's certainly going to pay for it with his life as he gets taunted back. Meanwhile, Spudio is pushing the tier 2 tower in duo as FX does fall.
Glory can go back to base, make sure that the left side Phoenix doesn't go to Spudio in some sort of extended push, while the rest of Fear No Evil get to claim themselves an easy Fire Giant. You're totally right. Whoever makes the least mistakes, Glory there. I don't know that that's necessarily an overcommit from Burrito. I mean, they try to get in there and kill him and get out, but Fear No Evil was just really quick on the response.
They do drop the Defender of Olympus, paired up at the height of the Urchin, which is where he went into, I believe, off that armored cloak. So he does have that extra protection there on that Circuit, and they weren't able to bring him down quite fast enough, especially with that extra damage mitigation and that overcommit, or like you said, maybe not overcommit. They want to try and punish the out-of-position Circuit, but they just respond to it well. Gold Fury, though, does go the way of Burrito, with Spudio, who dropped down, grabbed that tier 2 tower. So they at least get a bunch of gold back. They're not down that much gold, Ryan. 4,500 is not the end of the world.
They are not down that much gold, and I'm concerned, though, about Burrito's defensive prowess underneath these Phoenixes, because you're basically waiting for FX to pluck someone in, and then Badja has to wall off the reinforcements that will come to help whoever gets plucked in, while also not walling off FX, because that'll get him killed, and FX got to find a way to survive after landing a pluck, and the pluck can't be on a Fleurzy or Genetics. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you have to worry about now if you're Burrito, and their defensive composition isn't that exciting to me. Once Darkest of Nights goes down, Burrito don't have that much working for him.
Looks like they want to defend this tier 2 as the taunt comes out from Genetics. They immediately respond with a snipe from Lucas. Hits just about everybody. Genetics is low, has to retreat. Meanwhile, Glory used this opportunity to dive in and find Badja underneath the tier 2. Already Burrito have got to go on the retreat. This should be an easy tower for Fear No Evil as Fleurzy continues to push with that Defender of Olympus. They're not going to keep fighting just yet. They're going to fall back and grab the structure.
And I love that Genetics is the one to initiate in that spot. Oftentimes, you'd rather have your level 19 solo laner do it instead of your level 14 support. But when Genetics has the ability to back to base and use Defender of Olympus to rejoin the fight, right after getting
They're
low,
all full health.
it's perfect.
That's just gross, man. It looks like there was not a fight. Genetics goes in for the taunt. Epix is the target. Meanwhile, Get Fisher comes on the backside, but Epix has already been blown up by this Fear No Evil comp. Spudio falls as well to this Cerberus, who dives in on the backline. Snotty comes out of Disapparate, but it feels like too little too late. The 5v3 in favor of Fear No Evil will certainly net them a Phoenix.
Mid Phoenix respawns and likely will not stand for long, as this time Fear No Evil finished the job on the Phoenix before rotating over, but
Dash
double taunt on to Get Fisher. He takes the whole duration, but still stands.
Yeah, Fear No Evil weren't ready for the full collapse on the Get Fisher yet. Now Moix wants to dash in as mid Phoenix does fall. Only the right Phoenix still stands, along with the tier 2. They got to clear that up first before they can come grab this right Phoenix. But Fear No Evil now have really started to break away. This sustained comp from them, the waves of initiation, are just too strong.
It's just been, they played their first composition very well. They play it the way that it's supposed to be played with those picks. And a lot of teams, you'd be surprised, even at the Pro League level, I think don't play around their compositions as well as they could at times. And this time, what does Fear No Evil do? A completely different composition, totally different
Right.
to how it works out in Game 1. And they're playing around how their comp excels yet again. Allow Genetics to be the initiator. Get him help with some peel and some damage from Moex and from Lucas. Glory comes around the back. Flurries goes right in after Genetics to absorb the rest of those cooldowns, to body block for him a little bit. This has just been solid Smite for the most part from Fear No Evil. Couple things that obviously need to be cleaned up,
Yes.
but as a whole, I think that they clearly have a strong grasp of how to win at this level.
And I like the idea from Genetics to, like you said, to be the initiator, not just because he can defend Olympus back in, but because of some of the itemization choices. I mean, if you're going to get the Spirit Robe and be the first wave in, well, then when Badger responds with the freeze, or when Get Fisher looks for the stun, you get that extra protection in response to that, or you're harder to take down because of Spirit Robe passive. So they're playing, they recognize that that is the plan. They're building the way that that is the plan. They're drafting for that to be the plan. Fear No Evil, I think, are doing a good job with that. There's a couple things to clean up, as you said, but overall, they've been playing well here and kind of putting it to Burrito with all that experience on their roster. They kind of don't look like it here.
And I like the reinforced shoes as well to give himself some crowd control reduction. Less
Yes.
about the passive, and this time more about the CCR.
Epix could be in trouble, as we've been saying all game long, but no. Spudio is the one that's going to be the target out here in no man's land. Certainly is going to fall. Even the snipe comes out from Lucas as Moex gets the last hit and is on a rampage. 5 kills, not any kind of response that he's had to worry about just yet. In fact, there have been a lot of members here for Fear No Evil. I'm not dropped at all. Flurry Z, 3-0-8, 2-11 for Lucas. They've had a good game for themselves.
They have, and even though Lucas uses the snipe there, he'll have it up by the time he reaches the Phoenix because he's got 30% CDR plus the Chronos Pendant passive, so no big deal there. That ultimate is on an incredibly short cooldown.
In fact, it might even be coming over to this Fire Giant here first. It's going to be respawning before too long, about 5 seconds away. It looks like that is going to be the call. They're going to let Flurry Z push up a little bit, and not really much Burrito can do here. They're rightfully kind of hanging back and waiting to try and defend. And speaking of that defense, I mean, what can it be? Spudio's ultimate is great for sort of disorienting, and Badger with the freezes can be good too, but they have not been able to hit home yet in these big team fights.
No, you're really waiting for Snotty to get enough damage online where a 2-4 combo will do more than just half of someone's HP. When you dump your whole kit as a mid laner, you really need to be getting more than just half of someone's health most of the time. And Soul, of course, has the auto attacks afterwards to make up for the lack of burst damage that she can sometimes have, but I think that you're kind of just waiting for a Rod of Tahuti or a Chronos Pendant. It was Chronos Pendant for Snotty, which I'm not a big fan of. Soul doesn't really need CDR. You need some more power,
yes,
in my mind. Demonic Grip is so low in power. There's just not, the numbers are just low in Snotty's build here.
And it's tough. Usually when you're playing Soul, the fact that your autos are really good is like a bonus on top of being a pretty good mage in your own right. But this game, it has not really been the case for Burrito, as a few of these picks have kind of not hit the mark just yet. Fear No Evil, though, are grouping on the right-hand side. They're going to let Glory go keep these firemen pushed up in mid so he can even potentially look for the collapse. As mid Phoenix is about to respawn, left Phoenix already has come back up.
Left Phoenix is gone. You can't get over there and defend that massive fire wave that's coming in right now, and that's why Glory's okay sitting in mid and allowing minions to do the dirty work for him in left.
And they're just too split up. The attack is on Fear No Evil in right. They do drop down Darkest of Nights, and Fear No Evil have to back up during that. FX uses Fear No Evil, but that's 2 big team fighting ultis of Burrito that have just been used to stop Fear No Evil from taking the Phoenix, and they barely have done that.
They barely did it, and left side Phoenix fell and mid Phoenix fell to just Glory there. This is Fear No Evil's feeling really good after that reset.
Phoenix very, very low. Ultimate now comes out from Snotty defensively, and Fear No Evil are playing this so patiently. They've grabbed that Phoenix on the right-hand side. Now Get Fisher is the target, taunted in by Genetics. Is using that blind. Is going to be the call from Lucas here, but Burrito haven't dropped just yet. They're backing up. Now comes out the ultimate, the Badger. He drops the wall, but all Phoenixes are down. Minions are starting to pour in. Fear No Evil can kind of take this at their leisure.
Titans already down to 3/4 HP. Blink forward there. Into the back line goes Get Fisher, and out goes Get Fisher. He has to use that Fatal Strike defensively. Genetics channeling Defender of Olympus onto Flores to let him get into the Titan room a little bit safer, but Fear No Evil still just waiting on some minion waves at this point. There's no reason to even back up now.
No, I mean, at this point, Fear No Evil really can move into this room and take this game once they're ready. They're going to heal up a little bit more from Lucas and try and get reestablished. Minions in left are starting to push in. That'll be a good opportunity for them to come in and break this base.
Snipe is up and ready for Lucas. Watch out for Genetics taunt. I'm looking at Snotty and Spudio. Both those guys have no beats.
Looks like it is going to be the taunt coming in from Genetics. FX is low, Snipe off the mark, and so FX is going to be able to retreat, but Titan's already at half health. Badger goes in, but he actually gets locked down and deleted before Shard Device can ever come out. Fire Minions now coming in from every way. Fear No Evil are low HP-wise, but they've got to come back and defend the Titan. Do Burrito, they cannot chase, so Fear No Evil can regroup and heal and come back in.
Full health on everybody, again, except for Genetics and Fleurs, and both those guys have so much HP that it doesn't really hurt them that much to be fairly low in HP. Moex, a little far forward, but so is Get Fisher, so each team doing a little bit of each.
Burrito not making it easy on Fear No Evil as they kind of languish here, but they finally take down Get Fisher on the backhand side. I think now they're ready to come into the Titan room. Flurry Z pushes in with the Ghastly Breath. Snipes hits the Titan as well, and Fear No Evil in 28 minutes take down Burrito. And they do it looking pretty good in the process. This Fear No Evil roster, I mean, Burrito is a squad that's stacked with talent, and Fear No Evil did not look like they shied away from it at all.
Burrito was one of the top cards in the European Minor League last split, and Fear No Evil just dismantled them right there. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Fear No Evil is the better team right now after watching that set. That sometimes teams will lose, and you're like, yeah, but didn't really like their draft. They played this poorly. I think that Fear No Evil is clearly the better team between these two right now, and I'm excited to see what they'll go up against, when they play the teams like Insignum later on this split.
And if I'm Fear No Evil, I'm encouraged because this is very replicatable for them. They played two different types of compositions, and the most important skill they had was playing to those compositions in the games. That's something you can do in other matches. It's not like you picked an aggressive comp and just rolled over them early or something fluky happened. They beat them straight up in both these games and in two different ways.
They did, and that's impressive. And as you mentioned, that does make it a little bit harder to pick and ban against them moving forward, and what kind of composition are they going to go for. I think the linchpin of this team, though, is Genetics in that support role. He has been really, really critical to what they're doing. Glory as well has looked very, very good. But overall, wherever Genetics is going seems to be where the entire composition is being built around. So that's something that teams can look out for.
And if I'm on the side here for Burrito, I mean, maybe try and get Epic on something else. That Sobek wasn't quite there where they wanted to be. So they played really well. Try and maybe do a little bit more to make sure that whole squad's looking a little bit better. Because we know they're real talented. Five great players over there.
You know what could give them an edge? What if they were the only team in the European Minor League that wanted Terra?
That could help, right? Put that over there in the solo lane. Terra's really good. I'm on board with it, but it sounds like the desk is ready to go ahead and break this one down. So we'll get it back over to him to tell us what happened.
Thanks a lot, friends. Tom and Taco here, breaking down the minor league action. 2-0, going the way of Fear No Evil, able to topple Burrito and maintain their spots in the European Minor League.
And just working their way up in the standings. That's what it's really all about at the end of the day. And this was a very dominant finish, too, in game number 2. I think game 1, a little bit more back and forth to be had, but game 2, it was very evident that the support play that Aggro brought up also is probably the main thing I wanted to touch on. I feel like Genetics has probably been one of the most outstanding supports that we have actually seen so far in the SMITE Minor League.
Yeah, I mean he's nailing a lot of this stuff. A lot of the stuff in game number 1 I think was due to in part because of his Ymir play. Then he comes in here and brings the Athena and just really, really well done. The instincts on this guy, I think, are fantastic.
I think that's a big thing about it, too, is that you can never really be too confident in some of your, I don't want to say the team initiations, but
feel you.
There are moments where you're not always certain if the taunt is going to work out or if it's going to be able to pull actives, but I feel as though there is that certain level of intuition that he was able to portray in this match that ultimately funneled into the team being able to close out the finish.
Yeah, really strong stuff in general from Fear No Evil, as I said, continuing what they've already done. Prior to this game, they were sitting in 3rd place overall. Optimus Gang and Insignum have been a really strong force in the SMITE Minor League, and because of their success here, they're going to stay number 3. They won't fall victim to letting the Poppies supersede them just yet.
But still, Optimus Gang know that Fear No Evil are right on their heels. They're going to stay number 2, but that's just for now. They can't get too comfortable with their position, and everybody's trying to catch up to Insignum.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun there. Let's take a look at the schedule and see what we're looking at throughout the remainder of the day and the week, rather, excuse me. Tomorrow, we'll fly back to North America. That's a joke. Me and Taka are always here in North Atlanta, but we're going to be broadcasting the North American games. But it's since today we broadcasted Europe, I was pretending that we were in Europe.
I mean, I've had somebody ask me before, do we cast everything from New York? I'm being serious, by the way. This was a real life tweet that somebody asked me.
That could make sense. We could just be in the studio. It's the idea that we're going from Europe to North America.
I feel really bad because in case he's like watching right now, and then he's like, "Oh man, that was me." I asked them if they're in New York right now.
What was his name?
I don't have it from memory. I'm sorry to say.
Trying to throw Taco under the bus here, but you don't have to take the bus. You can walk, fly, or drive to HRX. You don't have to compete to get there either. November 16th through the 18th is when we're going to be at DreamHack, baby. And I mentioned we're here up in North Atlanta in Migos territory. We'll be downtown in the heart of the city, right there at the Georgia World Congress Center, mixing and matching with tons of the best celebrities and games and everything else that you find at DreamHack.
And you can get to meet some of your favorite players, some of the casters, a lot of other people that are just also in love with SMITE and like. So you want to make sure that you're staying in as a part of the action because it is a lot of fun.
Well, today we've got, that's the end of our SMITE minor league schedule. Later on, we're going to go to the Pro League, and we got to go catch our plane because it's Europe one more time. So we're going to get back to the action. 3 p.m. Make sure to join us right here. We'll catch you a little bit later.